Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, at this point, Dak Prescott's got to just be straight up offended. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We leave on Friday. What happens later in the day? Not only Jordan Love, but also Tua Perloff both get massive extensions. 4 years, $220 million for Jordan Love. 4 years, $212 million for Tua. We can dive into the particulars of these contracts. I actually love them both for very different reasons. But okay, and then there was one. Here's Dak Prescott. Even Matthew Stafford agreed to a restructure over the weekend. Dak is the clear outlier, and I know there was a contract that was offered last week, and so far crickets. I don't know if this is coming.
Why do the Cowboys want to be like everybody else? Because you know that 70% of these deals are not going to work out. Not 7, at least 50%. I mean, look at some of the big deals. Like, is Deshaun Watson working out?
No.
Is Jalen Hurts going to work out?
Well,
probably not.
TBD.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler doesn't look as bad, but yes, okay. I see where
Kirk
you're
Cousins,
going.
$45 million to the Falcons.
Yeah, no, that's silly.
But there's a lot of Josh Allen has worked out. Generally, though, there's a lot of risk. So what is wrong with the Cowboys taking one more year, Maggie, to see if this works?
Here's why this is silly for the Cowboys. It's always been silly. It will continue to be silly. Is because they don't actually have any leverage here. Like, it'd be one thing if you actually had a little bit of leverage, but Dak Prescott has it all. There's a no tag clause. There's a no trade clause. So if he balls out this year, the number goes up so astronomically, and he's a year older, and all the things that may be inhibiting the Cowboys from signing him in the first place, all those things just get more magnified if they just wait even longer.
What do you mean balls out? Like, define balls out. Does he win does he get to the NFC title game here?
He could win the MVP. I mean, that's
Who
not
cares?
so crazy.
They need to win a playoff game.
Well,
so if you're giving me some playoff success and finally you're breaking this streak of ineptitude in the postseason, then I'll take that and pay whatever you want.
Okay.
But that's the thing. He's got to win in the playoffs, so they have to see.
Okay, but here's the thing. You actually don't have to win in the playoffs to get a new contract. You want to know how I know that? I just watched Tua get one. He hasn't done anything in the playoffs, and he just got tons of money. I mean, Jordan Love is one of the biggest unknowns we have. You think he's going to be good? I think he's going to be good. Do you know how many games he started in his career? A whopping 18.
You know how many he's played well in? 9. But
yeah.
That's the point. We've seen Dak Prescott hit this wall, and at a certain point, the Cowboys have to say, we have to do something differently, or we're just going to keep hitting this wall until he retires at 40.
Okay, but here's my problem with that. We're talking about the Cowboys, obviously, Dak Prescott. Are you sure the problem's actually your quarterback? Because that's where I feel like the Cowboys are making a mistake here. You know, you lose that game to the Packers. There's a lot of reasons why they lost that game. And to dangle, obviously Mike McCarthy's going into the lame duck year, but to put it on Prescott, he wasn't good, but the defense was bad. So
I know that's true, but that doesn't make Dak Prescott a smart signing just because the defense was bad. 2 negatives don't make a positive.
I'm just saying I think more often he has not been the problem as opposed to other things that need to be diagnosed.
I totally agree. I think Dak is slightly underrated, but that doesn't matter. That's a reality here. If they pay him $60 million per year tomorrow for the next 5 years, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're not going to be celebrating. Okay. You're going to be groaning.
Well, here's the thing. Look at what these contracts are. They're 4 years. Maybe there's a year left.
Tua was 4 years.
Tua's 4.
Well, the others are all 5.
And Tua, because it's like adding on to like a year they already have left and stuff like that. Here's the thing about Tua. Tua's 4, but it's actually like 2. If we get into the nitty-gritty of the details, they can get out before 2027. So of 2024.
That's 3.
Yeah, I guess 3. 25, 26, and you get out. So it's 4, but it's actually 3. With Dak, you're saying 5 years. Is it actually going to be 5?
Well,
it's not really. And he's 31. It's not like he's 36 years, 37 years old.
Most of them are 5, really 4. The Dolphins somehow reached a deal with Tua where they made it 4 instead of 3.
Yeah, they front-loaded it with a ton of money.
They don't have a ton of faith in him to stay healthy. So I think the Dolphins at least were a little smart on that. But reality is, even if it's 4-3 or 5-4, whatever, you can't ignore the fact that they keep on blowing it in the playoffs. I mean, this is a problem. How are they going to get over the hump? I mean, they're not going to change their GM.
And don't most people think that he's actually the problem?
He could be, but that doesn't make it.
We're talking about Jarrah, of course.
That doesn't make it okay to just keep doing it. I mean, nothing's going to change there. That's the reality. So what are you going to change? You're not going to change. You might change a coach, okay?
Yeah.
That's
That
very
could
possible.
definitely help. I mean, they waited way too long on Jason Garrett to change him out. And Mike McCarthy, I think, has been fine. That was a terrible loss to the Packers, but he's actually been fine.
So if they do pay $60 million, say they figure out something this offseason, they pay $60 million, say it's like effectively 3 or 4 years.
Sure.
You're good with that.
I am.
You're celebrating if you're a Cowboys fan.
Definitely, because here's the thing. I know they haven't done pads yet. I think the Cowboys are off today, and then they're into pads tomorrow in their training camp in Oxnard. But have I seen Trey Lance throwing bombs? And I just missed it because all the footage that I saw of the training camp was him not pushing the ball down the field at all. We'll see if that changes. It's still early. And Cooper Rush is not your guy. And in fact, it was actually a very funny moment where Diana Rossini, friend of the show, came on with you guys when I was on vacation. I was so jealous that I missed her in studio here. She does a podcast now with Chase Daniel. And they had Stephen Jones on the pod. And Chase goes, "Did you ever think about signing me?" And he goes, "We couldn't afford you. We go so cheap on our backup quarterback because we pay our starters so much money." So Cooper Rush is not your guy, right? They're kind of telling you we're putting all of our eggs in the starter's basket. And if you don't have Dak there, this is my long way of saying, if you don't have Dak there, who do you have? And I don't want to leave it up to the Cowboys because, to be honest, are they great at drafting quarterbacks? They're good at drafting offensive linemen. They're maybe good at drafting corners. There's some specific things they do well. I don't think quarterback's one of them. They've gotten very lucky with Romo and then Prescott. Some of the other guys they've drafted have not been awesome.
Regardless, though, first of all, the fact that the quarterback's not on the roster is a huge value. You have to clear out your cap to start over again, or you have to struggle. Like, that's the only way to get better is to rebuild. You can't rebuild a quarterback with some backup quarterback on your roster. When does that ever work? There's no Steve Young to Joe Montana. That's not a realistic plan.
Unless you're the Packers.
You have to, but you have to, well, they used a first round pick on Jordan Love, but you have to clear your cap space out to start over a quarterback, right? You can't have $62 million going to Dak Prescott.
Right, so you have to draft somebody, but they're not going to be bad enough.
Or sign somebody.
Okay, but that's going to be expensive. Like, if it's Kirk Cousins or if it's Aaron Rodgers or if it's Matthew Stafford or one of these guys who's a veteran, they're not cheap.
Right, but they're going to lose. They're going to have all this freedom because they're not going to pay Dak Prescott $60 million. So do a short term with a Tom Brady type if you can find him. Yeah. And I know the Tom Brady type sounds like a lot, but Tom Brady was easily available that year. They probably should have signed him. So I just think that there's a lot of value in sort of clearing the decks at quarterback. I think I think they might sign Dak this offseason. I don't think it's done by any means. They might let him play out and sign him. This is total Jerry. Let the value get as high as possible, then sign him. You know, he's a
excellent business.
He's a buy high, sell low guy. So I don't know. I just feel like if he did sign this deal and it could happen, I don't think Cowboys fans are going to be as happy as you think they are.
I think it's more value for Dak to actually leave, to wait. Because he's going to clean up and if he goes to the open market. 855-212-4227. So that's where we're starting today. Should Dak be offended? Jordan Love, 18 starts. Tua, 51 starts. But also, I mean, you talk about injury concerns. I'd take Dak Prescott's ankle in a walking boot every now and then over what Tua may be dealing with. Oh, could be one concussion away from having some real serious issues. Can I bring up one other small point that I saw being reported in The Athletic today? Apparently attendance is very down at Cowboys training camp. So John Machota does a good job covering the team. Said usually there's like bleachers in Oxnard, and then there's like fans in bleachers, and then there's also fans like around the fence, and everyone's trying to get autographs and all that stuff. Fun. 75% of the bleachers were empty. It's kind of odd. I mean, enough for them to remark about it in this article. And we're not there, and we don't know what the cameras are going to show us, but 75% of the bleachers were empty? A Cowboys training camp? I mean, I know the Joneses went out of their way to say how much the season tickets had, turned over and how fast they sold out, but is that the fan base kind of telling you we're not as into it this year?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that bodes well for Dak, doesn't bode well for Dak. I'm not sure what it means, but 75% of the bleachers were empty.
Well, I mean, I think that's implying that most years 100% were full. Yep. And what did that do? Who cares? What does this have to do with the impact? Is this going to affect your bet on the over-under of the team wins?
No, but I think about loyal listeners to the show like Big Dave in Kentucky and other big Cowboy fans who are fed up with the team.
Absolutely.
And I think they're showing it.
Maybe, but even so, all these headlines about the Cowboys, in my mind, are totally overrated. They're like, oh, they haven't signed this guy, they haven't signed that guy, they didn't spend money here. Like, we do this thing in the offseason where we're like, oh my God, they won in March. They signed this dude. They re-signed Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. The reality is, come October, all that's going to seem like ancient history. And most free agent signings are bust. A huge percentage of them are. We just get crazy. And in March, we get this over-the-hill pass rusher for $17 million a year. Sorry, I'm looking at your Bills, for example.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it doesn't work out. We just get way overexcited about offseason headlines. Maybe this all works out fine for the Cowboys. There's a really good chance that they actually have a ton of talent on that team, and that's why they're so darn expensive.
I wonder what working out means. Like
12-5 again.
Okay.
11-6.
And that's with Dak's future solidified or up in the air?
Well, I mean, if they, of course, up in the air, but they're definitely going to let him go through this year, and they're definitely going to reset the market with some insane number next year.
And
this is how Jerry operates. This is how he's done it every single time. But it could work out. Like, one of the reasons, I heard an interesting argument from actually Rap Sheet, Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, said, the reason the Cowboys have no money to spend is because they have 14 really good players who they have to pay. So they've drafted really well. They have talent around their roster. So we forget that, I think. Like, there's a chance that they're good. I think everyone's dismissing this because of all the negative headlines about CeeDee Lamb holding out and Dak. The reality is, you're in this situation because you do have some talent.
You're absolutely right. And we're talking about Jordan Love getting paid and Tua getting paid over the weekend. And here's Dak sort of last man standing, if you will, because even Matthew Stafford got a contract restructure. But here's the thing about that. You mentioned the 49ers. They kind of go through the same thing, right? They've got so many people to pay that now Brandon Ayuk is holding out and Trent Williams is holding out and all that stuff. But they're going to pay Purdy. Like, all this stuff and all the moving and shuffling around is presumably so they have enough in the coffers to make Purdy this all-time offer. That's why I think this is weird about the Cowboys. Yeah. Like, you have all these great players you have to pay, and that's all well and good, but the quarterback's the most important one. So, like, that's why this always, it feels just like bad team building to me if the quarterback's not your priority. Well,
you also know that Brock Purdy and that system can get you to the Super Bowl. You do not know that with Dak Prescott.
A little proof of concept.
I just think that, remember last year, I think we need to go in a time machine to January 18th, when they got killed by the Packers. I remember Big Dave and so many other Cowboys fans were like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do Dak Prescott. And somehow everyone sort of calmed down over the offseason. He came in second, and everyone became pro-Dak. I don't understand what happened. There was so much anti-Dak energy in February coming out of Dallas. Now people are like, well, he was really good. They went back and looked at the tape. He is really good, but there's something about this team that just seems stuck in a time loop where they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. How do you break that loop? Because Jerry's not going anywhere, Maggie. I'm sorry. I cannot get you a new GM.
855-212-4227. Okay, so that's on the table first and foremost. We will dive deeper into the Tua contract and into the Jordan Love contract because they were both, the money, I guess, looks sort of similar. 4 years, $220 for Love, 4 years, $212 for Tua. But when you dive into it, teams were sending very different messages with these two contracts. So we'll get into all of that without boring you. Next, Maggie and Perloff on this Monday. Happy to have you on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Bogush had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogush boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast. but Andrew Bogusch grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead.
To the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst.
Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. So if you see a little league and laughter fills the air, look for Andrew Bogusch, you might find him there. With a grin and a wink, he'll raise a drink on high, playing ball with Jack's team under the summer sky.
And the boat.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, we have a situation, Maggie. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. I don't know when we're going to get into this, but it's weighing heavily on my mind. It is a statistical anomaly. I would say it's a freak accident. Sometimes you have a really great system and things just don't work out, or maybe they did work out, Maggie, because we have a greatest sitcom ever bracket controversy.
For a second, I wasn't sure where you were going
Yes.
with that.
No,
It's like, you mean democracy? It's like the best we got? It's not perfect, but it's the best we got?
I mean, the words recount have been thrown around.
Hanging chads, that's what
Hanging
you know.
chads, like usually an X/Twitter poll is a very safe way to determine who is a winner. You know, we have the Final Four, the Maggie and Perloff TV sitcom bracket, and The Office went up against Cheers. Great matchup. The Office was winning all weekend, and at the last second, Cheers fans jumped in and made a run. And now tell the audience what we have.
Deadlock. 50-50. It's a even tie. And we even went to a desktop computer to see if maybe different than the phone, if you get like tenths of a percent, still 50-50. It's bananas. This is The Office versus Cheers, a 1 seed versus a 2 seed in the Maggie and Perloff sitcom bracket Final Four, just straight up locked in a tie. So
woke up this morning, saw the numbers. Hey guys, still cannot believe. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of votes, almost 700 votes in this poll, and somehow even number. I'm still mortified. I still can't believe it.
So what we're gonna do? I mean, I don't know. We have to talk about how we want to do this here. Now, technically, the voting is closed, right? It closed at midnight. It's over 50-50. If you go to our Twitter handle right now, you can't do a dang thing about it. It's just locked 50-50. What we're going to do is we're going to do another sudden death poll. Because I was talking to Perloff. I'm like, why don't we make an impassioned plea for one of the shows, and you do one, and I'll do one, and we'll kind of do this debate style. You'll get in the mood for debate season or whatever. And Perloff said, you said no. You were vehemently against this.
No, like you're like our founding fathers. You want the delegates to make the choice here. I want to actually, unlike half of the parties, I want the people to elect the candidate. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So
was that a shot? Oh, man.
Easy. So
anyway, yeah, I want the people to decide here, not us. Cheers and The Office. By the way, what a great matchup. Great shows. Totally 100% approval rating on both. I had trouble choosing here.
Iconic shows, both of them. And so, EJ, we think we're just going to open up the voting here for like a sudden death 1 hour or 2 hour voting block.
I think we should do 2 hours.
Okay.
I think give people time. We can kind of update the people later on in terms of how the voting is going, if they still want to go back. I mean, maybe that was a problem with this because we, retweeted yesterday, the voting was open, and that's when Cheers made this last second run here. But I think maybe we can update the poll throughout the day or throughout the morning, and then we'll have a winner by 9 o'clock.
Okay, so there we go. It's 6:20 a.m. Eastern time. We'll open up the poll in about 40 minutes, and at Maggie and Pearl on X, and we'll have 2 hours, and it's just simple. It's The Office or it's Cheers. Who moves on to the title match to take on, should I do the other result?
Sure.
While we're here.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
I mean, it was such a landslide. Like, if anyone saw this, it was just, Seinfeld has just demolished this bracket. Now, did they get a bit of an easy draw?
Maybe.
That's something that has to be taken up with the committee.
This reminds me a lot of the Baylor-Gonzaga Final Four. I think it was 2021, where Gonzaga had to beat UCLA in a last-second heave, and then they had no juice for the final game on Monday night and got blown out by Baylor. So is Seinfeld the Baylor with Scott Drew as the coach of this bracket?
Maybe it was the Johnny
Who's
Juzang of
Who's
the...
Gonzaga?
What's that?
Who's Gonzaga?
Cheers?
I
don't know.
They were the 1 seed. Yeah, I guess it would be Cheers.
So this is it. This is what's on the line right now. So again, in about 40 minutes, we'll open up the sudden death poll. I mean, this is a little roadmap of how they should do this in November. It's a poll and then a second poll. Who knows? Anyway, this is how we're going to do it today, and we'll see who reigns.
Oh, you heard that?
That was trivia.
The bell is back. That was an accidental bell hit, Maggie. I don't know how this started. There was no plan. We have a bell to call for trivia. We did football trivia last week. I understand we might be moving on to a new sport.
Well, I mean, you have baseball trade deadlines tomorrow, right? Lots of trades going on over the weekend. So Big Zoo, hit us off a little baseball trivia.
Oh, I think it is about that time to get a little baseball trivia. And we're in that dog day. It's summertime, like you said, the deadline coming up. And I got an interesting one here for you. I find it at least interesting. How fast was the fastest pitch ever recorded in a Major League Baseball game?
I got it.
I know.
Hit me.
105 was Aroldis Chapman, right?
Oh,
I will give you extra, Perloff, I will give you extra credit if you can give me the exact decimal that it was.
Oh, I don't know.
There was a decimal?
I don't know, but that's been passed since, right?
It actually has been tied. Aroldis Chapman and...
Did the kid from the A's do it?
No, Jordan Hicks.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I know. That's a random duo right there. Like, oof. Jordan Hicks, though, doing his thing out in San Francisco, I suppose.
Wait, what was the actual speed? 105?
0.1.
Oh, my God. Perloff doesn't believe in radar guns.
Well, you're telling me that Aroldis Chapman threw it 6 miles an hour faster than Nolan Ryan? They changed the way they measure it.
6.1 miles per hour faster.
Wait until you get Perloff's thoughts on the scouting combine gun.
Oh, my God.
By the way, Perloff, I've actually been next to Aroldis Chapman. If you stood next to that man, you would believe he could throw it faster than anybody. Trust me. He is.
Then Nolan Ryan? Then Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan.
Next to Aroldis Chapman looks like he could be chiseled from the Greek gods. I mean, he's built. Like,
Nolan Ryan could outthrow that dude left-handed, EJ.
Unfortunately,
Nolan Ryan with basically, at this age, could outthrow Aroldis Chapman.
The only thing about Aroldis Chapman, unfortunately, the last couple of years, he can't throw anywhere near the strike zone, and that's the major issue.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, there we go. We transitioned to some.
What doesn't that the kid on the A's who at the All-Star game that everyone was talking about? Isn't he Mason Miller? Doesn't he throw it like 103 every pitch? He's got to beat this too. These guys are crazy. You tell me all of a sudden what has changed? Arms are better. Like all of a sudden, there's 20 guys who can outthrow the top guys from 20 years ago.
Well, I think now you're not pitching as much as you're throwing, and that's the criticism. All you're looking at is velocity.
Yeah, the whole thought is that they're training these guys to just blow up the radar guns, and that's the problem with some of these guys having these Tommy John surgeries. Is that they're not going out there pitching; they're just throwing.
Well, actually, they do measure the ball differently, like where they pick up the ball. Things have changed, and this stupid 40 Xavier Worthy, like they're going to break it every year from now on. Give me a break.
Perloff is not a conspiracy theorist at all. You have none of this.
No,
you
believe
believe the single bullet theory with JFK. I mean, you are not a conspiracy guy. However, the radar gun is where you go totally.
There's no conspiracy.
It is
obviously changed. Again, Nolan Ryan, right now, get him out there.
I mean, he'd do it.
He probably could throw a no-hitter right now.
I kind of believe it.
Nolan Ryan is 77. The question is, could he top 100 on the current radar gun? The answer is absolutely yes.
No, he's 77.
The question is, can he throw 105? And the answer is 1,000% no. Okay.
I know, but Chapman, if he threw 105 right now, it'd end up in the second row.
Look at it. Watch some video of Nolan Ryan throwing that ball and tell me there's someone throwing it faster. Maybe Randy Johnson. And Randy Johnson, you're telling me these guys are 4 or 5 miles an hour faster than Randy Johnson in his peak? Get out of here.
Pine Needle has a thought in the chat. Chapman throws the ball about 15 pitches and he's done. Nolan Ryan will throw 180 pitches.
Yeah, and on his 180th will be faster than anyone. But obviously, my whole generation holds Nolan Ryan up in such lofty standards. Like it's impossible to think anyone throws the ball harder. Bob Feller. What about? I'm looking at other guys. Like there are so many guys. Bob Feller. I don't know why he was on this page. Yeah. Josh, Bob Gibson. Like all these guys are nowhere near. They can't be throwing that much faster.
I mean, do you want a poll here? What do you want to do? How do you want to resolve this?
There's no resolving. I'm right.
Radar guns fugazi.
Okay.
Sorry. Well,
he's yelling at clouds.
Yes.
this is the most old man yelling at clouds.
God for trivia. Give me another one.
All right, let's go. Let's get another trivia question right over here.
By the way, Zoo in the break said anybody who is watching the 8-2 blowout of the Yankees or Red Sox needs to reevaluate their lives.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
If you saw Jazz Chisholm score his first run as a Yankee last night, I mean, sheesh. You'd watch House of the Dragon or get some sleep, my friend. Question
Life
time.
Life advice
though.
from Big Zoo.
Question time. What father and son combo are famous for each ending their careers with 319 home runs?
Wow.
It's got to be
Maggie. Gotta be the
No,
it can't be the Griffeys.
It can't be the Griffys.
I know the answer. Where's my bell?
Wait. Let's see. Who are the famous? Is it the Boones?
Nope.
Unfortunately, Bogus's mic. Don't put Bogus's mic up because he seems to know the answer. So Maggie and I can vamp here a little
319?
All right, Maggie, volley back to you.
319.
319.
Okay. Did Barry Bonds end up at 319? I can't remember.
After they took away 340.
Father, son. Oh, the Alus.
Nope.
No.
Who is it?
Bogus, who is it?
The Fielders.
There you go, Bogus.
My
Circle
God,
Get
that's
out of
random.
here.
That is so funny.
Yeah,
What a
famously.
great trivia question.
Another one. You said another one you wanted?
No, I didn't, but please go ahead.
There ain't nothing wrong with a couple trivia questions here.
Can we do one until I get one right? With baseball, we might be here a while.
I'm okay with it. Hey, Perloff, I got one for you here. Who had the nickname The Wizard?
Oh, well, obviously, I'm not going to answer that one. That's so obvious. Ozzie Smith, but
Oh, well.
yeah.
Okay.
So you answered it.
Yeah, I
Finally,
know, but I mean,
Perloff
come
got
on.
one so we can
You're
move
going
on.
to throw me a charity baseball trivia question? Is that what we're doing now, Zoo?
That was the equivalent of a pitch that Nolan Ryan would throw right now at 77 years old, right down the middle.
That was-
EJ, you're at home with a bum knee. Watch the Nolan Ryan documentary today, and you're going to come out of that thinking, oh, man, this guy is the fastest thrower in history.
All right, Perloff, here you go. Name one of the two teams from the first televised MLB game in 1939. Right up your
Go
alley.
ahead, Maggie.
I was like,
it's got to
is
be
it
the Yanks.
The Guardians? I have no idea.
It's a
The Cleveland Spiders, were they around then?
I mean, you guys are right. You guys are close.
Yankees,
It's Cincinnati Reds and the Brooklyn Dodgers. You were in the right cities, just the wrong teams.
1939 is not that old. It wasn't the Cleveland Spiders. That was like,
1939 is definitely that old.
Yeah, I mean, what? It's only 90 years ago.
well, I mean, like it wasn't like the current teams were all around then. Like the Yankees were in the middle of their run then. It's not the Cleveland Spiders, really. The Indians were around then, weren't they? Sorry, yeah, the
I
team
think
that's
they
out, the
were.
Guardians. Yeah. Anyway, that we're done, Zoo.
That's enough. We'll save some for later.
Lucky us. Andrew Bogish is here. You heard him get these fielders correct. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, guys. Good morning. Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. Sometime soon, Brock Purdy will get paid more than Jordan Love and Tua and Trevor Lawrence. For now, the Niners QB focused on being dominant like Tom Brady. Purdy telling the San Francisco Chronicle, quote, late in the game, it always felt like Tom was just going to take over and not make it close. I feel like I can get to that. In case you forgot, Purdy had a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio last season. His Niners had the third best point differential in the league and, of course, made the Super Bowl.
I feel like when most quarterbacks bring up Tom Brady, we kind of, I don't know, we don't chastise them for it, but we kind of laugh or maybe raise an eyebrow. Any of that stuff? Did anyone think anything when Purdy said this? We're like, oh, that's squares.
I mean, it's nice to have goals.
I'll be honest. At first, I wanted to laugh, but then I thought about him coming back against the Packers and then coming back against the Lions. I thought that seemed like Tom Brady-like comebacks.
Yeah, 3rd and 5 against the Chiefs. That didn't work out so well in a Tom Brady way.
No, but he's still young.
Yeah, Brady's not losing that in the Super Bowl.
Well, maybe Brady did lose to the Giants, so
He did.
Sure.
He did, but
and he lost
Twice.
And he lost to the Eagles. Yeah, I mean, the guy, he's no Joe Montana, but yeah, that seems like a crazy thing. You know, it's funny. You can't compare yourself to Patrick Mahomes. Like Brady, yeah, because Brady was non-athletic and kind of like, physically was not that great. You can't say I'm the new Mahomes. That would be outrageous.
yeah, I don't think you can say Brady either.
I think it's easier to say Brady than some other people.
Is Brock Purdy, like, is he seeing his
Seventh-
story like he's setting up to have this Tom Brady run?
Well, Brady was a 6th rounder. Brock Purdy is a 7th rounder who's already been on the brink of a Super Bowl. If anyone's going to claim Tom Brady-ness, at least he's got that angle. There's no other late round picks.
Yeah, but in response to that, I will say, oh, come on. I mean, you got to at least be winning a little bit if you're going to try to say, well, I'm the next Brady story. Like,
Well, so I mean, I think what's helpful here is that it's a specific Brady comparison. He didn't say like I'm the next Tom Brady. He wants to be clutch like Brady was. I think
don't
that's
they all?
well, yeah, but I think at least that it's a targeted Brady comparison, not trying to set the whole storyline out there. Just like I want to be the closer. I want to be the guy that
Right.
is going to get my team to the finish line. At least he's picking his battles and not just saying I'm going to win 8 Super Bowls and be better than Brady.
I would say, does Brock Purdy already have a better supporting cast than like 17 out of the 25 Brady years?
Probably, yeah.
Well, what he's saying is
offensively, yes.
he's saying I want to be Tom Brady. I agree with Bogus. Like he's aspiring to be Tom Brady. I think you can kind of credit him for that. Like, yeah. I mean, listen, I want to be Dan Patrick, and I'm not going to be him. But yeah, I'm sure.
You had some time to
give me
really
your name.
perfect your. I also want to be Dan Patrick. We have that in common.
Yeah, no, and that was not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, Purdy, this makes sense. He's saying I want to be like Tom Brady. I think that's what the mindset you want, because I think everyone right now thinks he's a game manager still. So I think he's kind of saying I want to bust out of that game manager role and be the star, at least lead my team. Because if he was that guy, maybe he would have scored in the Super Bowl. Maybe it's a mindset thing. Maybe
I think to your point, Maggie, I think the fact that he has a supporting cast is why he feels so emboldened, because he feels like I have a team that is so dominant. Like, why can't I go out there and dominate games in the second half? Which, again, I will say, maybe not against the Chiefs, But for the rest of the playoffs, that is what he did.
Yeah, I mean, he got a little help there with the Lions.
By the way, you say this thing about Brady's sporting
The Lions imploded.
Yeah,
yes.
he did have Bill Belichick as his head coach, and he had the best coach offensive line. There were times where Tom Brady was in the pocket for 9 seconds and the offensive line didn't touch it. But there was a lot going on in New England. It wasn't just Brady, right? Like, we don't think that Brady was, well, maybe. But he had a lot going on, too. I'm not sure. You really think that what the Niners have is better than everything around Brady? Because you had Belichick, you had Hall of Famers all over the place. I'm not sure that's so obvious.
But did he really have Hall of Famers all over the place? You had Randy Moss, and then do we actually think that Julian Edelman's getting into the Hall of Fame?
No, but the first batch of Brady titles had
the defensive
Hall
guys.
of Fame or near Hall of Fame defensive players.
Sure,
Right, you
that's
had
fine.
Rodney Harrison running around.
And Adam
Seymour.
Vinatieri will go to the Hall of Fame. Yes. There were definitely a lot of guys around him, but in terms of offensive weapons, not even close to what Purdy has now.
I'm just
for the
not sure.
majority of his career. No disrespect, Deion Branch, but you know what I mean.
I'm not sure that the Niners supporting cast is, if you took away Purdy, like, they're good, don't get me wrong, but to say they're all-time, like the Patriots.
They went to the Super Bowl with Garoppolo.
I just think, Belichick, let's be honest. They had a great, their special teams was superior in every possible way. I think you're downplaying everybody around Brady a little bit. That's just my opinion. Listen, there was the first, Bogus, you're right, the first 3 Super Bowls had defense and special teams. I mean, the first one, the special teams was probably the best unit out of all 3.
I totally understand, but I also watched the San Francisco 49ers spend a third-round pick on a kicker, so it's not like they're not investing in these special teams.
Yeah, I also saw them have a backup lineman miss Chris Jones on the key play of the game. I saw Dre Greenlaw go out with an injury. I saw Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, they've had a lot of problems, too. They haven't been exactly smooth sailing.
I don't know about the Brady comparisons. Anyway, Bogus, what else?
Jamar Chase continues his unconfirmed hold-in at Bengals training camp, and now stud defensive end Trey Hendrickson hasn't practiced the last 3 days for undisclosed reasons. Hendrickson did rescind his trade demand, but still apparently wants to get paid better. He is scheduled to make $31 million over the next 2 seasons. On the injury front, Cowboys defensive end Sean Williams suffered a torn ACL and MCL at training camp yesterday, and Patriots D tackle Christian Barmore is out indefinitely receiving treatment for blood clots. Our dear friend Manny Rodriguez, noted Yankee fan, wearing a Phillies hat this morning, declaring in the newsroom that, quote, the World Series is back on because the Yankees did this last night in Boston.
Into the pitch, hit in the air, deep right field. Moving back is O'Neill near the warning track, and it bounces onto the track and into the Red Sox bullpen. Ow. It's going to be a grounds rule double. Torres will score from third. Rice comes in to follow. On at second with a grounds rule double. And 2 RBIs is Oswaldo Cabrera.
Justin Shackle, Yankee Radio. Aaron Boone's team taking Sunday Night Baseball at Fenway 8-2 to win just its second series in 12 tries.
Gritty series win, especially after that first game, which was another, kind of as we go through this tough loss. And, we're not all the way where we want to be right now, of course, but there's a lot of fight in there.
New Yankee Jazz Chisholm debuted in center field, hit 5th, went 1 for 5 with a run scored and a stolen base. The Tampa Bay Rays continuing to make moves before the deadline tomorrow. Setup man Jason Adam goes to San Diego for 3 prospects, and all-star third baseman Isaac Paredes goes to the Cubs for third baseman Christopher Morel and 2 minor league pitchers. Guys, back to you.
Bogus, thank you. Yes.
Can the Phillies get one of those Rays players that they're just giving away for free?
The Phillies made 2 trades last week.
I know. I'm just saying, it's funny to me that the Rays are just like, hey, we got some talented guys. You want them?
It's got to just be such an awful experience being a fan of theirs, because this is a team that's above 500, and the only reason why they're selling off everybody, so it seems, is just because no one else is really being big-time sellers at the deadline. So like, all right, well, if no one else is really being sellers, we'll come in and we'll step in and fill that role. It's like,
but why, though?
They want to reload so they can start whatever the next generation of Rays is going to be.
They got to restart the window here.
But these guys
in 4 years are going to be like, oh man, that trade deadline. Now they have all these prospects that are superstars and they're back in the World Series. This is how it always goes with them.
Or do they have to trade him? I mean, Paredes he's really young, right?
Only 25.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are the Cubs doing? I mean, they're buying as a team that's under 500. Like, can we explain that?
Well, but this is almost just a baseball trade, because the Cubs get a guy who can play third base, they think, for the next decade. Like, they just made a trade.
Yeah.
He's 25. He has multiple years of control. He's an all-star, so they just got better at third base. Buying or selling, they just made a trade to be better.
I know it just feels though like with the wild card, I feel like this is a trade that wouldn't have happened 4 or 5 years ago. Like, and maybe that's different, but like the Cubs being kind of still in the mix allows these kind of trades to happen.
Guys, thank you. Everyone, fantastic job. Coming up, we're going to play a little game called Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down. It's very complicated. We'll explain all the details to you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Infinity Sports Network. Just want to let you know, we are doing a runoff in the Final Four of the Maggie and Perloff sitcom bracket. We're on the doorstep of getting to the championship game, but we can't do it because there's been a dead heat, a deadlock over the weekend. Cheers and The Office tied 3 days of voting, and it all ended last night, Pearl, at midnight, 50-50 dead split.
Totally wild. I have a question about these X polls. Can you vote twice? I don't think you can, right?
No.
I've tried.
Yeah, no, you can only vote one time. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the polls back up at the top of the hour at Maggie and Pearl on X, and we're just going to open them for 2 hours because we've got to get to our championship game here at some point, and we need to do this sort of like sprint to the finish. So if you're a big Cheers fan, if you're a big Office person, then let your voice be heard. Now, in our chat, you can watch the show, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network, and in a moment on my Twitter handle at Maggie Gray. Titan Man is bringing some facts to the argument. Right now, the big question is who had the better cast, Cheers or The Office? And also, Titan Man saying Cheers won Best Comedy Emmy 4 times, The Office won 0 times. Now, maybe we can fact check that. Generally, the chat never lies to us, but if we wouldn't mind just giving that a quick Google. The better cast, Perloff, Cheers or The Office?
Well, let's see. The Office, obviously, Steve Carell and John Krasinski are gigantic stars. That you count like...
I mean, Ted Danson.
Is
Ted Danson bigger than Steve Carell? Like, let's start at the top.
Yeah, okay. Steve Carell versus Ted Danson. You're saying let's give Ted Danson the slight nod?
I mean,
Steve
this
Carell's
is so hard.
had huge movies. Ted Danson has not been a movie star.
So, and then John Krasinski versus Woody Harrelson. I think you got to go to Woody Harrelson.
Let's go to the third level here.
Third level is probably Rhea Perlman versus Pam. I don't know.
Yeah, or what's Pam's real name?
What's Pam's real name?
Help us out here.
Jenna Fisher.
Jenna Fisher. There we go.
Well, Rhea Perlman's iconic, married to Danny DeVito. Okay.
Who's the third lead on The Office? Dwight Schrute
Ed
versus.
Helms?
I would say Dwight.
Oh yeah,
because Ed Helms wasn't there the whole run.
So Dwight. Oh, so you got Dwight Schrute versus George Wendt as Norm. That's pretty good. That's a good battle.
That's a heavyweight right there.
Wow. I think we're tied. Are we gonna have to go to like late season Kirstie Alley versus Will Ferrell in the last season? Or remember James Spader came in?
Yes. Idris Elba.
I think Ed Helms is a factor. Ed Helms was very funny.
Definitely. And Ed Helms took off out of that too.
He definitely did.
I mean, there were all those like Kevin and all the other great
Who's the Cliff
side
Clavin
actors.
of?
I would say Kevin, Brian Baumgartner.
Yeah, that's true.
Really funny.
Yeah.
Craig Robinson. I mean, there was
another breakout from that show.
Yeah.
This is not helpful.
Is he the Frasier? Because he went on to have other.
Oh, Frasier.
Ooh. Wow. So Cheers got
Kelsey
4.
Grammer.
What's that?
Cheers got 4 outstanding comedy series Emmys, and Frasier then went on to like become a dynasty after that, winning like every year from 94 all the way through to 1998. They won the Emmy. So I think Cheers, I mean, just off of its coaching tree.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
the
you
Bill
know what
Walsh-esque. Wait, so what about The Office? Is it true? The chat is correct?
I am searching The Office right now, unless EJ has it.
Well, I'm seeing 4 Emmy awards, including 1 for Outstanding Comedy Series. So they won once.
Well,
that is exactly right. The Office won once.
Okay.
I just got it right now.
The Emmys only, Frasier won the Emmys every year over The Simpsons. People don't necessarily take that into account. So I don't think the Emmys is a
Well,
a
where are
huge
the
factor.
Simpsons right now, Perloff? Where are the Simpsons right now?
They're at home. I will say this, though. We talk about coaching trees. I mean, The Office, we can say maybe they don't have spinoffs of The Office, but I'd argue all of these mockumentary series are spinoffs of The Office.
Well, Best in Show.
Parks and Rec, Modern Family. Like, I think a lot of these shows are inspired by The Office. So
yeah, but The Office
Frasier,
itself is a direct spinoff of a British show.
Yeah,
and
called The Office.
Yeah.
I would say like this is Spinal Tap and Best in Show. Those like mockumentaries, I think, kind of set the stage for it.
I think, you know what really set the stage for the mockumentary style of The Office?
Yeah.
The Office.
Yeah, yeah.
They literally took Ricky Gervais's The Office and like, this show was awesome. Let's do it in America.
So it's a great question though about like because the cast I feel like from Cheers, let's not shortchange. I mean, Zoo mentioned it with Frasier. Woody Harrelson became like one of the biggest stars and is still out there making movies. I know he got a little weird, but like what actor hasn't? Rhea Perlman icon, George Wendt, one of the super fans, Da Bears, Da Bulls. I mean, multiple iconic roles, I guess, for George Wendt, at least two.
But you're giving him an SNL skit as a second one?
The Bears is like probably the most famous SNL skit.
If you can find a second role for Cliff Clavin, then I will be very impressed.
Clifford is a voice actor. Don't you dare take Clifford's
John
name. John
Ratzenberger. He actually does theater in Connecticut. I remember when
he's in a Disney movie that I'm like makes my childhood, and when I saw that it was him in it, I was like, wow. Clifford?
You guys are forgetting Shelley Long.
Yeah, America forgot Shelley Long after she left.
And Kirstie Alley, who went on for big stardom. So I think this is interesting.
Oh, Bebe Newirth. Frasier's
Bebe
wife.
Newirth.
She
Oh,
shows
man.
up all over this
Saw her
place.
on Broadway once when I was a kid. Chicago. Anyway, all of that.
The guy who
We
played
also
Coach.
forgot for The Office. We also didn't mention Ellie Kemper too, who also
Ellie Kemper's a huge star.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Yeah.
It's tough
Mm-hmm.
because they're both like the ensemble cast.
I understand why there was a tie. I really do.
So polls are going to open top of the hour. Get to it, everybody. If you want to vote, no, it's your choice. This is a free country. It is a democracy. Perloff and I were going to try to decide this ourselves, but that would just be un-American. So you get to decide, and we'll open the polls for 2 hours.
I think I'm going to vote Cheers for one reason, but I'm not sure. I haven't cast my ballot. I think the older shows should be represented. I think that'd be kind of nice. I think The Office is amazing. Like, there's nothing wrong with The Office, but let's get like a classic in there because all the old shows got slaughtered in our sitcom bracket.
I mean, I hate to tell you this.
An older show.
I hate to tell you this. Seinfeld's like 35 years old. Yeah. It's going on 40 years old, guys. Like, it's not new. There were no cell phones. Like, they had all the premises for like 60% of the Seinfeld episodes would have been totally cleared up if someone just had a pager.
Oh my God!
Seinfeld started 2 years before I was born. Like that's an old show now.
Same probably for
some
Zoo and Ryan.
Other people on Cheers. Remember, Dan Hedaya played, I think, Rhea Perlman's husband, and he was the dad in Clueless. That guy. Remember that guy?
Oh yes.
Yeah, there was all. I don't know who he played actually. He was in a lot. And Jay Thomas, who went on to be a radio star. There's all these other. Cheers was on forever. Everybody who guest starred on Cheers became a superstar. We're forgetting a lot. Cheers was, I think, the most popular show for like a 4-year run. The Office was probably never the highest rated show, was it? I feel like it's done more streaming.
Yeah, but also it's tough to say on rated because 1988, you didn't have as many options as in 2008 in terms of what to watch, when do you watch it.
There are probably sitcoms that did bigger numbers than The Office. I'm actually sure of it.
No, I know, but it's like
in 2008,
there were 4 things to watch in 1988.
Right, but they were all the big shows were sitcoms. I'm sure there were 3 or 4 sitcoms that did way bigger numbers than The Office.
Oh, like Big Bang Theory or How I Met Your Mother or something?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying nobody did better. Cheers was a huge thing. What was it called? Must-see TV on Thursday night? Like, I think for years, people would, and Seinfeld too, people would go to their TVs on Thursday night to watch this. The Office was never like that.
Oh my gosh, Daly's in the chat, youtube.com/Infinity Sports at Mose versus Coach. Mose, Dwight Schrute's cousin on the Beet Farm, or Coach, who, did Coach actually own Cheers, the bar?
No. He was just the bartender.
He was just the bartender?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
He was Sam's former coach.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew that. I wasn't sure if he actually owned the bar.
It was pretty funny.
The highest rated show from what I'm seeing from 2008 in terms of sitcoms, we're talking 2.5 Men.
Yeah, of course.
Early exit in this bracket.
Yeah, not seeing a top 25 listing here for The Office. That's a tough look.
All right, stick to baseball trivia, Zoo. Focus here. Focus, buddy.
All right, we've got so much more to do. 855-212-4227. Polls open, top of the hour. Let's break this tie, everybody. Is it Cheers or is it The Office? What do you think?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Major contracts signed over the weekend. Quarterbacks getting paid. Well, everybody but Dak Prescott. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. No, Dak still has to wait. But Tua Tagovailoa, Perloff, very rich man now. 4 years, $212 million. It's the largest contract in the history of the Miami Dolphins because they've been wandering a bit in the quarterback desert for quite some time. Some of the particulars: $93 million guaranteed at signing, a $42 million signing bonus. It's 12th among contracts. What I think about this contract and why I like it, I'm a big fan of this contract for the Miami Dolphins. Did you know that less than 40% of the whole thing is guaranteed? And there's a potential out before the year 2027 with a very little dead cap number. So I actually think that the Dolphins were kind of smart here. I think fans, I know, are not happy with this contract because they're worried about Tua, his health. He's a product of the system. He can't win in the playoffs. They never beat good teams. I understand all that. But what you're essentially doing is kind of front-loading this contract, and you are not tying yourself forever to Tua Tagovailoa.
Well, it's 3 years. I thought you say before 2026, maybe 2 years would have been better. You're kind of got 3 years here. What happens in 3 years? Stephen Ross is 82 years old.
Well, I'm not worried about that.
The owner.
I can't be worried about that.
I'm just saying, where is this team going? They haven't been good in forever. Does this contract make you think that this is going to put them over the top?
You know, this contract, I don't think they're getting further away, and I don't think Tua is the reason they would be getting further away. And here's the thing. Why is it a criticism of a guy if he fits well in a system? I'm being told that's why that's one of the great things about Purdy. I'm told that's one of the great things about, honestly, Jared Goff. Like, they're being good in a system and having good skill position players around you is a formula for winning. So why all of a sudden is Tua the guy who gets dinged for it?
I just think that, well, first of all, health. That's the first thing. I'm sure you're saying some fans are upset because they don't trust that Tua is going to be healthy. The other thing, too, is this system is good. For some reason, it just doesn't feel like it has any chance of taking them over the top. Honestly, if you go back to that draft, Tua went right before Justin Herbert. If you had Justin Herbert there for this money, then I would be, okay, we got something. And I'm a Tua fan. I just don't see where this is headed. I just don't think that he is an elevator in himself to take them anywhere. I just don't. They haven't been to a AFC title game since '93, and it doesn't feel like they're going to make it within the next five to 10 years.
Well, see, I don't know about that because this is a guy who can deliver the football. And if I am building my team in that way, then Tua could be, in some ways, maybe the perfect guy. And I'm not. Here's the thing about the health. Like, that is, who knows? I'm a little dubious on the fact that he did gain some weight last year, and it seemed like it did help him become like more sturdy, and then all of a sudden he lost all the weight this year.
I am too. That is very strange to me.
I was kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing, but we'll see how that plays out. This is a really dangerous sport. And I think the fact is nobody knows. And that could happen to Tua, and it can happen to Josh Allen. That could happen to a guy who's small, and it can happen to a guy who's big.
No, that's not true. That's not true. You cannot say that the same health risk for Tua Tagovailoa as Josh Allen. I understand what you're saying. Anybody can get hurt at any time. It just doesn't feel the same, and I think the data proves that. Josh Allen is durable.
No, but I think there's a part of it. I'm talking about when it's head injuries and when it's concussions, right? I mean, that can happen to any person. I do honestly believe that. And so I think that Tua showed you that he can play the 17 games, and I don't think you were ready to move on from him. And so if you weren't, then you decided that you wanted to stick with Tua. Was there ever a scenario where the Miami Dolphins could have traded Tua? maybe before the draft this year. Now, that would have been a drastic reset. You take a guy who led the league in passing yards this year, and you basically put him on the market, and you may have gotten, a late first-round pick? Because he also would have had to gotten paid, of course.
You would have had to do a 6-round pick swap. What are you talking about? First-round pick so somebody can pay Tua Tagovailoa $200 billion? No team wanted to do that.
Well, you're essentially paying him $167 million, if that feels any better, for 3 years. But I get your point.
I just think teams value quarterbacks on rookie deals so much. There's no way they're going to be like, well, Tua, who's injury prone, just got through his rookie deal. Let's take him now. That would make no sense at all.
Well, I think that when you don't want to know what life is like without a quarterback. Like, here's the thing. Could you say to a team, and this is something the Dolphins could have done, but they decided not to, I have a proven commodity. I know this person can play in the NFL, and they can play at a very high level.
Sure.
I don't know that about Bo Nix. I don't know that about J.J. McCarthy. I don't know that about Drake May. I mean, I don't know that about some guys, and I know that the contracts will make it so that the rookie's more valuable. But I do have proof with Tua that he can play quarterback and can get you to the playoffs.
Right, but you know that Tua has not been able to get the Dolphins to the Super Bowl. You don't know that Drake May is not going to get to the Super Bowl within his rookie deal. I mean, generally, there usually is a rookie deal in the Super Bowl every year. And you already know that Tua did not get it done in his first go-round. So I think I keep getting back to this. I think having basically opportunity at quarterback to get the next guy is a big deal. You don't want to get tied in to the current guy because then you're stuck. It's like an NBA contract. Like the worst thing you could do is pay Paul George $300 million at age 35. That's going to kill my Sixers.
Pulled that out of nowhere.
Everybody knows that, the lack of flexibility is the real problem.
Okay, but I also understand that you don't want this revolving door all the time, right? And you don't, because quarterbacks hit at this very low rate generally, when you have one that actually can play and can win games, that's not somebody you really want to throw away. And we always bring up the 49ers. We talk about them a lot on this show. They're going to pay Purdy when they could do the same thing. They've got great skill position players. They could just keep drafting the next guy. Your Philadelphia Eagles, draft the next guy. And they're not going to do that because at some point you do have to pony up for somebody who is running your system in a more than competent way. And so that's now just the going rate for quarterbacks. And again, I like what they did here. 3 years to me is not eternity.
Yeah.
It's not eternity. And, the Dolphins are going to be one of those teams where you're not going to be picking in the top 10 anyway. You're too good.
Ooh, I don't know. This reminds me so much of the Kyler Murray deal. Kind of similar structure, a little shorter term. Why do you, I just worry about the Dolphins are kind of old and injury prone. And it's not because of talent. If you put their talent in week one up against anybody, yeah, they have tons. It just feels like they always fall apart. And you pointed out, this might not be fair, but he needs to play in warm weather in the postseason too. That's a big issue. That's why I have trouble picturing this Dolphins team getting over the top. I mean, in 5 years, if you're paying him 3 years, say, it ends up being $167 million. Do you expect a Super Bowl out of that? Is that a fair expectation, or are we giving up on that?
You and I always talk about this. What does $55 million buy you in this day and age? What is 55, or in this case, $53 million a year for Tua? What is the expectation that goes along with that? Because, yes, I do think it's okay to be putting Super Bowl expectations on someone who's getting paid that much. And you and I have argued about that quite a bit. I think maybe a good poll question today. Do you like the Tua contract? Yes, no? I like it. I like it. I borderline love it.
Really? Oh, my gosh.
Because you're not going to Mike White.
Well, who cares about this year? I mean, he was under contract. You could have just kept him this year. The question is, what if at a certain point under this contract, he gets hurt, they have a bad year, and they're sitting there with a stud at number 7 in the draft?
Listen, I think that what would happen is you would franchise tag him once, you franchise tag him again, it becomes a massive story / distraction, whatever. I think to pay a little bit more to get your quarterback under contract for 3 measly years is worth it to me than to go through the whole rigmarole every year, a franchise tag, and is he going to show up, and then how much is he going to play at training camp, and what does this mean for Mike McDaniel? You can eliminate all of that. There's no noise. It's all about football. I think this was a smart move. And I don't think the Dolphins are like this amazingly smart organization, but I like this.
Well, the other thing, too, there's nobody to pay in 3 years. Everybody's gone, except it's going to be Tua and Jaylen Waddle.
Right.
Because Tyreek Hill's 31, Raheem Mostert, I think, is 32. Their starting running back, Teron Armstead, their left tackle's 33. They let go of a bunch of good young defensive players. So Bradley Chubb, they already paid. And I just think that they're kind of an old, creaky, injury-prone team. They make me nervous. Yes, they're so exciting. They're going to blow out someone in week 3, just like last year, Maggie. We're all going to get high on them. Can they last? Also, again, I keep getting back to this defense, and I know that's not about Tua's contract, but the fact that Jaylen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are on the PUP list right now, they both got injured in December.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even know if they're going to be playing. I just can't get high on this team at all.
It's going to have to be guys stepping up. And I saw, did Shaq Barrett did he sign with
just
them?
walked away.
Retired, right?
Just walked away. He's like, I'm going home to my family.
Interesting. Anyway, 855-212-4227. May I also counter with this with the Miami Dolphins, is that Mike McDaniel created this, what is essentially like a cheat code on offense. And if he has anything left in terms of scheme and mismatches, like if he's got more to show us as an offensive coach, then I think the league is going to be in trouble. I think the Dolphins are going to be a factor. 855-212-4227.
How many points did they score against Kansas City in that playoff game?
Listen, again, no, they shouldn't have been playing that game. It was 30 degrees below zero. That's silly.
Do you know why they were playing that game? Because they lost their last 2 games of the season. One to Baltimore, 56-19, and then they lost to your Bills 21-14. That electric offense sort of fizzled at the end. So you're right. It was a cheat code early in the season.
Yeah.
They will. By the way, I didn't mention they will have Devon Achane coming back. He's pretty exciting, the running back. But they do fit. They are old. They brought in your guy Jordan Poyer, and he's not even like the oldest defender.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. 855-212. Good leader. 855-212-4227. Okay, so that's the Dolphins side of things. You can weigh in if you're a Dolphins fan or a Tua fan or what have you. Is this quarterback a contract, a good contract or a bad one? The voting is open. The Maggie and Perloff sitcom bracket, Final Four. One side of the bracket ended in a dead tie. Cheers in the office, 50-50, just all square. So we need to go to a runoff here.
So the poll is up, right?
Poll is up. EJ, you've got an update for us.
We have 94 votes into this poll.
It's not many.
It is 51-49 right now. Still.
Did you vote?
No.
I didn't vote yet either.
I might abstain.
No,
I'm not sure. I want the people to decide here. I am voting on, do you like the new Tua contract?
Let me guess. You're one of the no's?
I'm going to vote no. I don't hate it. I actually totally agree. The short-termness of it is really smart. I think that it probably took them a few weeks to convince Tua to do 4 years instead of 5 like everybody else. But that being said, I just am way down on the Dolphins. I think they're just mediocre. I think they're going to be the wild card team again at best and be out. So I'm just a little down on their future. And because, can we talk about the fact that they have not been elite forever? It's been so long. I mean, you were an AFC East fan. When have you been scared of the Dolphins?
When they started running that Wildcat, remember that?
Yeah, Ronnie Brown. Oh, that was sick. Okay.
That was the year that Brady got hurt.
Year.
I was like, what are they doing?
That was a great year.
Brad Smith was the other guy, right?
Well, Brad Smith, the Jets guy, was he down there?
I think he was
the
down there
quarterback,
too.
But
Ronnie Brown, for sure. You're right.
Ronnie Brown, man, when he lined up a quarterback, that was the most exciting thing that ever happened to me. I wrote like 17 stories for SI.com about the Wildcat.
Zoo, what did you say about your?
Wasn't Ricky Williams a part of that crew too?
Was he still on the team when they went to the Wildcat? EJ's giving the thumbs up.
That was his comeback, right? That was his comeback tour?
Amazing. It was like not innovative because it was basically like the wishbone, but it was so different.
Just a running back played quarterback. It was kind of cool. I did actually.
People didn't know how to stop it.
I did do one story. Have you ever asked a really bad question to a pro athlete?
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, you do this long enough, you're definitely going to ask some bad questions.
I was at SI. I was obsessed with the Wildcat. I'm like, this is the future of NFL. We've seen it. Let me go interview a bunch of people about it, and we'll do a little story. I went down to Michael Vick, had just got out of jail and gone to the Eagles. I'm like, are you excited to be a Wildcat quarterback? He looked at me and he said, you think I'm a Wildcat quarterback? I'm like, I'm sorry, Mr. Vick.
All of a sudden, you're in Leavenworth. You're like, how am I behind bars right now?
Yeah. He's like, you think I'm a Wildcat quarterback like that Dolphins running back? And I'm like, no.
Just slink out of the locker room?
Yeah, because he would line up at quarterback. Yeah, because obviously he was a quarterback. That was a wild time. Remember we thought that it would stay around forever? They do it occasionally. Like some guys will take direct snaps.
Yeah, I know it happens, like Debo and stuff like that. But then Tom Brady came back, and it was like, oh, right, that can't win.
Tim Tebow was kind of a wildcat quarterback. He had no interest in throwing the ball.
They looked a little wobbly. I'm trying to think of now the worst question I ever asked a professional athlete. Now you got me thinking.
Oh, my gosh. I'm sure you have some
so
doozies,
many.
Maggie. You must have some doozies.
I
mean,
you're killing me this
morning. Have you ever been yelled at? I know. You've told me a bunch of stories. There's so many I can't remember where guys were just like about to walk away from the set. Because you'll ask the tough questions. I will give you full credit.
Yeah,
you
I
do
asked
not
tough
shy
questions.
away.
I mean, Jamal Adams stopped doing interviews with us because I asked him about scrubbing the Jets from his social media. He wasn't happy about that. That was a good question, just a bad answer by him. I've been, oh God, have I been yelled at?
We can take a break and you can tell us
Can
the
I
story.
think about it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, it's not think about it because you have very few options. You have so many options.
No, I mean, I'm not like an agitator, but kind of.
Well, actually, no, it's not even that. You've interviewed a lot of people. I just think that's the nature of the game.
Yeah, no, it just happens.
It's not always you. It's often them.
That I've had guys who came in and said, I absolutely will not answer this. And I'll say, well, I have to ask you about it, and you can answer it however you want to answer it. And that's gone various different ways.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I've ever been intimidated in an interview, and I don't think he was even doing it on purpose. He was just a very intimidating presence. So I don't want to, he wasn't threatening or anything like that. I was just very intimidated, was Warren Sapp. And I actually had some other questions I was going to ask him that were way more like probing, and it's the only time I ever like backed off.
Wow.
Yeah. And he wasn't like threatening me or anything. Yeah. I just was intimidated by him.
My most intimidating ever was Pat Riley because he was so darn handsome. I'm like, I can't even look at you right now.
Not the same. 855-212-4227.
Pat Riley was totally terrifying, by the way. That's like, Pat Riley after a loss. You kidding me?
That's all that Schenectady, man.
Oh, you don't mess with that.
I know that. That's me right there.
That's so true.
Okay, let me think about that. Worst question ever.
And I could share you the celebrities I accidentally hacked on Friday too. We can do a double dip.
We've got to get the update on Perloff's Twitter account getting hacked. And then him DMing every celebrity who follows him to tell them, don't click on the link.
Not a good weekend. Nope, not fun.
All right, we got lots to do on this Monday. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, we're back on Maggie and Perloff. I'm so excited. Maggie, you promised us a list of people you've annoyed slash upset.
Yeah.
And I think
Angered.
it's a badge of honor for a good media interviewer to upset people. Really, you have to.
Yeah.
You're a wimp if you don't, like me. But Maggie, and I've seen it in action. Can you tell us some of the people who've gotten mad at you through the years?
Yeah, I can't. I will not say these are because of bad questions. That's how this started. You asked Michael Vick what it was like to run the Wildcat. This is a little different than that. I'm sure I have asked a million bad questions, but I'm thinking more about people who got mad at me while we were doing interviews. I've got 6 that I remember off the top of my head. Oscar De La Hoya, who did come back on with us to do an interview about his documentary.
Yeah, he was great.
So he and his people all got very mad at me once at Sports Illustrated because he came in with Canelo Alvarez and I asked about a recent DUI that he had. He was not happy about that.
Ooh.
Dana White got mad at both of us. This was a little bit back in the day.
That was when you and I first worked together. I'm like, uh-oh, she's getting me in trouble. This person this person might be a problem.
Yeah, we were doing a segment about not that a UFC fight was fixed, but what would happen if one was fixed. It was off like an Anderson Silva fight from like 100 years ago, like Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva thing.
It was Chris Weidman. I remember
Yes,
he upset Silva, and everyone's like, "How did this happen?"
Right.
And somehow we got talking about
fight fixing, and we wouldn't
regulation. We weren't even saying this was fixed.
We never said this was fixed. Dana came after me. We did an interview, and he was like, Soledad O'Brien would never do this. I remember him saying that. And I was like, we weren't doing the same thing as Soledad O'Brien. I'm not Soledad O'Brien.
That's who he went for? Soledad O'Brien?
Soledad O'Brien would never do this.
Sorry, have you interviewed Dana White since then?
I have, and we patched things up, but, he's tough. T.O. almost walked out on an interview because I called him Terrell. He said it's Terrell, and if you say Terrell again, I'm going to leave. Rich Rodriguez got very upset that I asked about his job status when we were doing an interview with him on the Michigan campus in the Michigan locker room. Like we had set up this one-on-one, and I actually am still persona non grata at Michigan. The Oregon athletic director also not very happy with me because I asked about the basketball team allowing transfers who had some serious criminal record and had been accused of some very, very serious things. He did not appreciate that line of questioning, and I don't know how I stand there. And then also Chip Kelly. I did fly to Eugene to do an interview with Chip Kelly when he was the coach at Oregon. This is before I interviewed the AD. And I walk into a room. He's there. I go, Coach, I'm Maggie Gray. Thanks so much for doing this. And I was working at Sports Illustrated, and he goes, the National Enquirer prints more facts than your magazine. And there was definitely an expletive in there. And I had no idea what he was talking about. He was upset about an article that a freelancer had written about Jeremiah Masoli. It's going back a little bit. And I said, are we going to do the interview? I didn't know. I said, we flew all the way out here, but if you don't want to do the interview, then I can't make you do the interview. And he said, fine. Yeah, sat down and was huffy about it for 20 minutes.
Obviously, T.O., Chip Kelly, famous, tough interviews.
Yeah, Dana.
You're not there. Yeah, Dana at least has media friends. I think T.O.'s gotten mad at many people. That's why he didn't get in first ballot Hall of Famer. It's the only reason. Because no reporter liked him. He was very difficult.
I've interviewed him more times since then. He's done radio bros, and roles and stuff, but he was not happy that I said
Back in the day,
Terrell.
there was no one like T.O.
Yep. So those are just a few that came to the top of my mind. Bogus, you got any? You want to chime in on this?
Yeah, I've been thinking. The one that always comes to mind immediately was a long time ago at Sirius NFL Radio. I was working with the legendary Gil Brandt, who recently passed away, and he got mad at me because I was questioning timeout usage by Herm Edwards when he was the Chiefs head coach. So again, that's how long ago this was, and I still think I was right, but I understand where Sweet Gil was coming from that day.
That's a hot take that Herm Edwards couldn't manage a timeout.
Yeah, that's my point.
I mean, come on. He had to hire a guy. He had to hire a guy to tell him when to call a timeout.
I know. That's why in 2024, I stand by my take. I was not breaking news then, but it was very offensive to Gil that night that I was questioning an NFL head coach.
Gil, we recently lost Gil, but he was an all-timer. What a nice man.
Yeah, he was amazing. And like the guy who basically ran the combine for many years.
Yeah. Did you guys see Mike Ornstein die? I don't know if anyone knew Orny too. The two people ran the NFL for 40 years, Mike Ornstein and Gil Brandt. Yeah. Mike Ornstein, who went to jail for Roger Goodell, basically. Went to jail for this ticket scandal around the Super Bowl, but was head of marketing forever around the NFL. But Gil, oh my gosh, did you know Gil at all? Did you
Not really?
Oh my God, he was a former GM of the Cowboys. Had stories, but he never got mad at anybody. So Bogus must have really upset him.
Well, no,
don't go after Herm Edwards.
I disagree. He got mad at people.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not in a like holding grudges forever way, but you could definitely get Gil fired up if you had to. Or if you did it by accident.
You just had to bring up Herman Edwards.
Okay, so we've had some more. I'll try to think of some more times I've angered people in interviews. Perloff, you got hacked on Friday. Let's not bury the big lead here.
That was bad. Okay, so
your social media accounts got hacked by a nefarious, Putin-esque type.
Yeah, named John Rothstein.
That's college basketball insider John Rothstein, with a heel turn of all heel turns, hacked your account.
So, and somehow it sent out messages to anyone who had a lot of followers or something. I don't know how they found out. Just basically DM'd everyone saying, click on this because whatever. And it was a terrible hack. And I heard a lot of people, I guess it started at Paramount, I found out. They did a great job. X immediately jumped on and knew what was going on and fixed it ASAP. Full credit to them. But some of the people that got DMs from me, Tom Arnold,
Nice.
Brooklyn Decker. I know you like that one.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller. I hope. I didn't. No idea he followed me because I hate tweet the Knicks all the time. Let's see. Lane Johnson, the Eagles' right tackle, used to follow me. No longer does.
Chrissy Teigen, you mentioned on Friday.
Chrissy Teigen. You know who really embarrasses me? Like, I had to send a note to Louis Riddick, who I have so much respect for, the ESPN NFL analyst. Everybody.
Did anyone get back to you?
Yes, like 3 people got back to me. Like, no problem. Mike Giardi, who covers the Patriots. Trevor Sikkema from PFF, who we booked out of this, by the way, which is good.
Nice. He's not on today.
The Denver NFL journalist Benjamin Albright had a nice note. But the best one was Message Board Genius, which you got me into.
Yeah, I love Message Board Genius.
It's college football.
Anyone who loves college football, you got to hop
They
on.
were like, dude, I totally understand. I'm like, I love you guys. But basically after that, it was thousands of verified NFL writers who no longer like me. But it's so embarrassing. Like, say, please don't click on this. It's just not the way you want to reintroduce yourself to someone who forgot they followed you because I randomly hit a button in 2018.
I would just love if Ben Stiller wrote you back and was just like, suck it, 76ers.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I don't even care about that. It's like, Cousin Sal and now RG3 think I'm a weirdo. It's just terrible.
I still think you're way overthinking this. A lot of those people probably don't look at their DMs or have somebody else looking at their DMs.
I would think that. I was wondering that.
Yeah, I think the embarrassment factor is lower than you're fearing here.
Cap is saying that you need to fix your profile picture.
I know I want to. I am not allowed.
Why?
Because basically I've had the same profile picture as this caricature of me, and I love it. It's kind of, it's old, but they won't let me reframe it and recenter it because I'm under review. As you'd expect.
Wait, so you're still under review from the hack?
Yes, which I should be. I'm glad I'm under review. Like, I have to send a note to someone to fix it. So basically, yeah, a few people have been getting hit with this. I don't want to kill X because they did a nice job helping out. Remember, I had such a panic attack on air when this happened.
I mean,
thank you guys.
dying.
And Bogus, thank you. You filled in and admirably. You guys kept your cool while I'm crying on my desk, sobbing openly.
Well, we knew it was going to be okay, but you were definitely freaking out. Which
Yeah.
I get. I understand it, but you were going to be fine. No one thought it was you.
I don't know how, it was all my fault. I'm such an idiot. It was just a good reminder that you have to be beyond careful right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Well, you never know, Lane Johnson.
Just because you get a
might be getting
random note asking for your
bad
social,
link.
someone named Bill asked for your social security number. Don't give it to them, Bogus. I keep telling you,
Your
stop.
mother's maiden name. Stop giving it out.
Yeah, there are no princes in other continents asking for your help.
Oh man, they'll go to somebody else way richer.
Oh man.
And again, by the way, thanks to X reminding me that as I texted the group, Perloff doesn't like me because I didn't get one of these DMs.
Oh,
even
you're
X
so
knows we're not
sensitive.
friends.
You're so sensitive.
Yeah, because the universe keeps reminding me.
It all.
You're
feels like
sad
it is
that you
running
didn't get the
downhill.
hack thing. That I didn't hack you.
I wouldn't have clicked on the button, so I would have been okay. I would just. It's nice to be nominated, you know?
You mean like...
Even the Russian bots knew that you
Yeah.
were not one of his top friends. Bogus.
Ooh, but I mean, that would have been an easy mark. Ooh, Perloff DM me. What could this possibly say?
Yeah.
Well, I did hear a bell in there somewhere, so you know what? I think it's about that time we hit a little bit of trivia. You know what I mean?
Sue, you're all over this.
I'm all over the place. I like to hit this trivia, though. You know, I love the trivia. I'm a big trivia guy.
We're into it.
And this is up, maybe up Perloff's alley here. Philadelphia Philly.
Yes.
Richie Ashburn.
Yes.
Broke a single spectator's nose and knee bone with 2 separate foul balls during one 1957 game. Fact or fiction?
What?
I'll go fact.
Fiction.
It is a fact. Ding, ding,
Yeah. Who knows more Phillies trivia than me?
ding.
There's no way. Richie Ashburn was my color commentator for my whole childhood. Former Whiz kid. You got the Richie Ashburn one?
Richie
Dude, you're trying
Ashburn.
to help me out.
I mean, the guy's breaking legs out here.
How do you break somebody's kneecap?
I had to see video of this.
this
A foul
sounds-
ball broke a dude's kneecap?
In 1957. I mean, what are we doing in 1957?
1957, I feel like you're wearing a full suit to the game. Like,
But
could
they
kill
probably
somebody
didn't have
in
those
57.
nets behind the home plate.
yeah,
That
right.
could probably kill someone in 1957 with the doctors.
That's true. They did have low bone density back in 1957 as well.
Oh, sorry. It was
That's a
a,
fact.
That's unconfirmed.
It was a woman who was struck. This is all a true story. Give us one more, Zoo.
All right, we'll keep it in the true or false section of the quiz here. Snoop Dogg has been banned from ever throwing out a first pitch in the MLB, fact or fiction?
I'm going to say fiction.
Well, Snoop Dogg is the unofficial host of the Olympics somehow. He's on NBC more than Simone Biles, so I'm going to say fact.
It is fiction. He is allowed to throw out that first pitch, though.
He was just doing an interview the other day, like in the Milwaukee Brewers booth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody loves Stu.
Have you noticed how much he's on the Olympics? It's startling. More than it's Tarico and Snoop are basically hosting this thing.
And then he's at events like there's an AI Snoop or something, or there's multiple Snoops.
He's like the Pat McAfee.
Our theory on McAfee's that they've got multiple of them. Wait. The big missed opportunity. Basically, the only reason that I tuned in to the opening ceremony is I thought that Snoop would take the Olympic torch and light a blunt from it.
Oh, my God.
Didn't do it, and I think it's because of the rain.
He would have otherwise.
Yeah.
I think the French had all French people with the torch, so they weren't going to let Snoop jump in.
And they got Rafael Nadal was at the end because he won so many French Opens, but he's not French.
Maggie, they're saving that one for the L.A. opening ceremony.
There
He's going to
you
go up there.
That's true.
Oh, baby, it's going to be beautiful.
Come in with like the
torch is going to be a blunt.
No, his car's like on the
The
hydraulics.
lowrider?
Yes.
Yeah. With the Olympic torch.
Sorry, pause on one second. They had Rafael Nadal part of that thing. That's really weak. Because it was all French athletes. It was like Tony Parker and Maresmo. Like, why Nadal was there?
He's won all those French Opens. That's why they adopted him. But no, he's Spanish.
That's super weak. I did see the French swimmer won in his hometown. That guy is super cool.
Yeah, Léon Marchand.
Yes. That'd be cool to win a gold in front of your home crowd.
You just thought of that?
Yeah.
You know what'd be awesome?
You know, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, you're right. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Analysis. Hashtag analysis.
Let's get to the headlines.
And that's why the
Think
cool
about it,
folks
Maggie.
follow him.
Think about it. That's why
Ben Stiller
Frank
can't get that anywhere
Caliendo.
else.
That's why Frank Caliendo picked up a internet virus from me because of analysis like that.
Amazing.
Hacked by a 5-year-old.
All right, what else?
Let's
do we
see. Have you ever won a gold medal in front of your home crowd?
I
Bogus?
haven't, but I know it'd be awesome. If I could win a gold, I'd like to win one in Glendale, New York.
What event's coming there?
Maybe you'll get to run the torch through Glendale when they're running the torch across America in
Fingers crossed.
2028.
Yeah. If you've been watching the Giants on Hard Knocks, you might have noticed head coach Brian Daboll looking a little more svelte these days. Pilates getting some credit for the weight loss, but it took a while for that relationship to blossom.
First few weeks, I was not too pleased with it. It was pretty sore. But, try to stick with it.
And like the rest of us, Daboll says keeping the weight off is the real battle.
It's like a roller coaster, and I like to say it won't be a roller coaster, but it probably will be again.
So he's down 50 pounds right now. At one point,
for him.
he had lost 100-plus pounds and gained most of it back to need to lose the 50 here.
And his wife lost weight, too. I remember there was a New York Post story on them. It's Pilates. I thought they took the thing. No?
Well, if you're asking, Cap is in the chat saying, stop lying, he's on Ozempic.
Yeah, that's what everybody
What would be
assumed.
the best is if he went through this whole thing and was like Pilates and steamed vegetables and salmon, and then everyone's like taking notes, and he goes, psych, it's Ozempic. Which is fine. You got to do what you got to do. But Pilates can't do that. I'm sorry. You don't lose weight with Pilates.
He's getting a lot of gruff on the internet for putting his feet up when he interviews all the draft prospects. Have you guys noticed that on Hard Knocks? Bogush, I know you like this Hard Knocks. He sits on his couch and he's laying back talking to Jaylen Daniels, and everyone found that annoying.
I mean, I noticed him doing it. I had no negative reaction to it. Then I heard people freaking out, and I was like, this is what we're getting upset about? Shock.
Yeah.
It seems silly.
Which
It
part?
does seem a little pretentious.
The anger or people or him having his feet up?
Oh, the anger. It's his own office, right?
Well, it's Shane's office. It's a GM's office,
well,
but
whatever.
same difference.
Same
yeah.
idea. I mean, okay, so you don't like the manner in which he's doing it, but is that really being disrespectful to somebody? It's like somebody like putting their arms behind their head, or is
Yeah, I mean, they're in there cursing, dropping F. I mean, like, it just, I don't know. It's not like Madison Avenue. It's not like a Fortune 500 company.
I also think it could be a tactic. Like, you're trying to show you're comfortable to try to get the other person to feel comfortable, right? It's like there could be a psychology behind it.
Yeah. I mean, that interview was with Jaylen Daniels in particular cracked me up because he's like, before we do anything, Jayden, do you want to be a Giant? And he goes, Yeah. You could hear the question mark in his head. I've never seen a less enthusiastic. Yeah, I really want to fall to 6 to you guys. It's like Jaden Daniels wanted to get out of that room so badly, but Daboll was like basically like had a bowl of cereal on his belly button. It looked like he was watching television. It was like,
just the Fruit Loops bowl.
Yeah, you guys ever do that?
But no, it's the Pilates. Yeah. Sorry. It's fine. Whatever. I mean, he's healthy. I always feel for the people who do the yo-yo diet because I'm sure it's got to be a roller coaster of emotion, not just weight, you know?
I know he said in this press conference that he couldn't commit to keep doing it because now that football season's come, the early hours he was doing to do Pilates, he now can't do.
Well,
so I think the yo-yo may be coming soon, unfortunately.
Didn't Bill Belichick famously wasn't Bill Belichick always on the treadmill sort of coaching and doing stuff? I've seen videos of that. So some coaches work out.
Yeah. You can like watch film, I guess, on a elliptical. I don't know. The amount of hours that they keep, how can you stay healthy? I feel like coaching football is the least healthy sport.
Dave Canales, the new Panthers coach, is sending everyone home at 7 p.m., and that guy is shredded. So I think there's something there. Bogus looking at me like I'm crazy.
What's his name was like that too? Bruce Arians. You had to leave the building. He told people don't miss recitals and stuff like that, trying to like just kill the workload.
But you know, Bruce
he said
Arians
he would fire coaches if they missed recitals and missed important things.
Okay, but
kids.
Bruce Arians would have people leave and then meet in the parking lot for a literal cocktail party that would happen out of the trunk of his car. It wasn't so you could get some miles in on the treadmill.
Well, I think the famous one is Tony Dungy sent everyone home. He stopped the building at 6 o'clock. I think Arians coached under Dungy, so that's. But Daboll does not do that. That's very clear.
No, he's part of the Nick Saban tree. Like they're got to be watching film until their eyes bleed.
Yeah. Although he did take a break from draft prep to go to a pool for his birthday, but with that cigar in his mouth in the last episode when he called in, so he does have. I guess
that was awesome.
Yeah,
he stayed there with his 8-year-old son in a pool smoking a cigar. Well, it's a week from the draft. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
There's 50 people, like hair falling out, coffee cups everywhere in the draft room, and he's on a float with a cigar in his mouth.
Brian Daboll won Hard Knocks. I'll just say right now, he looked like the coolest guy.
And he put his foot down too. Like he was very adamant about not being a big part of it.
Yep.
And his like cameos still carry the episode.
Yeah, when they're 6-11, we'll see.
And they're talking about Bill Belichick taking over. Yeah.
Yes.
Cowboys pass rusher Sam Williams suffered a torn ACL and MCL at training camp yesterday. Chiefs D tackle Chris Jones missing yesterday's practice with a groin strain. Andy Reid said, "We'll see," when asked how long Jones will be sidelined. Mike Trout has yet to resume running after last Tuesday's early exit from his first minor league rehab game. Trout had left knee surgery May 3rd. An MRI last week showed no new issues on the field last night. The Yankees won in Boston 8-2 rubber game with the Red Sox. And today's Olympic schedule includes the men's gymnastics team final, Djokovic against Nadal in the second round of men's tennis, and U.S. women's basketball debuting against Japan at 3 Eastern. Guys, back to you.
Bogus, thanks so much. Coming up, who won the weekend? We'll tell you next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
And the Bogush had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, "Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogush boys can play." But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogush, swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast, but Andrew Bogush grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogush, swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogush, swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. To the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Boger swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. So if you see a little league and laughter fills the air, look for Andrew Bogish, you might find him there. With a grin and a wink, he'll raise a drink on high, playing ball with Jack's team under the summer sky.
Andrew Bogush had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said,
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, time to do a little stock up, stock down from the weekend. Perloff, whose stock is up? And I should mention, we're going to do an all-Olympic version of Maggie and Perloff's stock up, stock down, since the games have been underway for a couple days.
Okay, I'm going to go with a gymnast you may have heard of named Simone Biles. I'm going to stock up in the sense that she had a calf injury that clearly affected her, and she still dominated, came out with the highest all-around standings. She did her floor exercise. She stepped out of balance, but the rest of the routine was so ridiculous. This woman can fly. I know I'm not telling you anything new. I was so impressed that she fought through that injury and still was basically the best person out there. Just an incredible reminder of she's the Michael Jordan of gymnastics, and we're lucky to see her. Hopefully this calf thing does not bother her too much, but she fought through it and was amazing.
It's a great stock up. I'm going to stay with gymnastics, but I'm going to go with the men. I did not know about Steven Nedoroskic, Perloff. He's from Worcester, Mass. Mm-hmm. He was a gymnast who went to Penn State. He's a specialist, only does the pommel horse. So he's only there for one reason. It's to do the pommel horse. This guy wears glasses that are like so thick. It looks like he could see into the future. He takes them off and then does the pommel horse. He's basically blind out there doing this all by feel. And he was good enough, I believe, to get to the qualifier. And they're got more qualifying stuff today on the men's side for gymnastics. This dude, beyond impressed. Hopefully it works out for him.
Okay. Stock down. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it. A lot to go with here.
I'm going to go with this commentator. I don't know if we're going to do it, and I don't want to get in any trouble, but there's a Eurosport.
No, we have the audio.
Oh, we do? A Eurosport commentator named Bob Ballard, who was covering women's swimming, and here's what he said.
Well, the women just finishing off. You know what women like, hanging around, doing the makeup. Outrageous.
So
that got him fired. That's crazy.
Yes, this is, first of all, it's so minor. If you're going to say something that's going to get you fired, I would hope that you at least go for the gold and say something provocative. What the heck is this? I don't understand. He was watching the women's 4x100 freestyle relay. I don't even understand what this is. Maybe there's a history there. It is, I guess it's inappropriate. But if you were going to, you know sexism, Maggie. You can see it.
Yeah.
Is saying like women just sit around and do their makeup, is that a serious thing in the year 2024?
I mean, listen, I think you might be right there. He's been a long time announcer, so I think there are maybe people who get a pass or can just apologize and they'd be willing to move on, but clearly that didn't happen here. And so I can't help but read into that, because if you are a 20-year veteran of this and you say and slip up and say one thing and it's this, to not be able just to apologize and move past it makes me think that somebody wanted you out. Yeah. Either because this is not the first time or something. I don't want to, I'm not here to destroy the guy's character, but that's what it made me think, because that comment in and of itself, to get kicked off the Olympics when you've been doing this for 20 years, does seem a little like you could just apologize for saying a boneheaded thing. I don't think he was actually being, it is sexist, but good God. I mean, we've heard way worse.
Yeah, I mean, he apologized, said he was a massive advocate of women's sports, but I think you're right. There might be more to the story. The whole thing was weird, and, we've seen many stories like this where people say things. You've been on a mic. It's hard. I mean, you're kind of on a high wire when you're in live radio, live TV. So it's kind of a shame that happened. Anyway, okay. You're at stock down.
So my stock down, we're doing all Olympics here. I don't know how you make this type of mistake. Now, granted, they are just mistakes. This one seemed extremely egregious. The athletes from South Korea were introduced at the opening ceremonies as being from North Korea.
Is that bad?
I mean, that...
Well, you might as well do the other one then. The connected one to that.
Oh, South Sudan.
Yeah.
This is a stock up. South Sudan won their first Olympic basketball game in the history of that country. So stock up. They played the wrong anthem for them. Stock down.
Stock down.
I mean, let's get on our P's and Q's here, people. But the North Korea, South Korea thing, that's one you really can't. That's an error you cannot make. It's
I think both the errors are pretty bad, to be totally honest with you.
They're both awful. But stock up definitely to South Sudan. That's a really cool story.
I'm going to do a stock down.
Okay, go.
And I'm going to speak for Pete Pilates, who's not here today. The opening ceremonies were annoying. I'm just going to say it. There was something about them, and I can't exactly say what it is. It's NBC bragging about all the celebrities are there. I don't need to see the Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew Broderick at a cafe near the parade. Like, there was so much crap during the whole thing, and it went on forever. I saw it twice. What's that?
It's a parade.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It just went on and at the end when they were doing the last part of the torch, for some reason, it just struck me as a little on the obnoxious side.
A little over the top.
And then I didn't know what to think of it. I'm like, this is kind of entertaining. Then Pilates, midway through the opening ceremony, Pete Pilates, who's not here today, tweets, are the Olympics over yet? This is driving me crazy. I'm like, yeah, I'm on Team Pilates in this one. Although the events have been great. The opening ceremony, a little annoying.
So I felt a little bad for LeBron James, which is kind of hard to do because he's got a lot of things going for him. He's the flag bearer. It's this great honor. But these opening ceremonies were all on boats going down the Seine, and it was a driving rainstorm. Yep. So instead, he's just got to be like George Washington crossing the Delaware, holding the American flag up, just getting pelted in the face. At one point, he was wearing a poncho. I'm like, LeBron doesn't want to be caught dead in a poncho.
Also, one more thing about the opening ceremony, like Peyton Manning, who's calling him, called that. You need Eli there. Where's Eli? I don't want to see Peyton Manning doing the opening ceremony with no Eli to have the little barbs going back and forth. I thought that was a very button-up Peyton Manning. That also annoying.
Somehow, Peyton Manning not enough for you these days.
Well, Peyton Manning doing the Olympic opening ceremonies and being all serious is like, I talked to this pole vaulter the other day. Get out of here. Just yell Omaha and be funny, dude.
Hashtag analysis. 855-212-4227. Coming up, the biggest story from the weekend. We've got it.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Let me know when you're good.
He hit a ground to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst.
Jack was on the mound. Big Zoo's got a secret, it's not hard to tell. He loves the Golden Girls, they're his bombshell. From Blanche to Dorothy, Rose to Sophia. His heart's in the villages, living the utopia. Big Zoo's heart is golden, just like his favorite show. In the villages, he's got that retirement glow. Loving older women, they're his cup of tea. Big Zoo and the Golden Girls, that's his fantasy. Every episode, he's laughing out loud. In the villages, he's feeling so proud. Older women with stories, wisdom in their eyes. Big Zoo's living large, no surprise. Big Zoo's heart is golden, just like his favorite show. In the villages, he's got that retirement glow. Loving older women, they're his cup of tea. Big Zoo and the Golden Girls, that's his fantasy. He strolls through the villages every night and day with the Golden Girl spirit leading the way. From shuffleboard to bingo, he's got it all. In the land of retirees, he stands tall. Big Zoo's heart is golden, just like his favorite show. In the villages, he's got that retirement glow. Loving older women, they're his cup of tea. Big Zoo and the Golden Girls, that's his fantasy. So here's to Big Zoo, with his golden grin. In the villages.
Pete Bellotti, you have any bad luck recently?
Let's go back to the
fall.
Anything bad?
When's your birthday again?
Let's go back to the fall of 2013.
The divorce papers were the ink was barely dry.
Saying I do, the first time.
Yeah, it's fine.
And the Bogush had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogush boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team.
You're listening to the Maggie and Perloff show. Sit back, relax, we got a break to go. In just 5 minutes, we'll be back on air. So take a breath, we'll soon be there. 5 minutes, counting down. Maggie and Perloff, the best show in town. You're listening to the Maggie and Perloff show. 4 minutes till we're back, let's go. You're listening to the Maggie and Perloff show. 4 minutes till we're back, let's go. the Maggie
Sunday,
and
one of the
Perloff
major headlines
Show.
was that Jason Tatum didn't play in the game. My question, who cares? It may be an
Perloff Show. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's wait. 5 minutes now, it's gonna be great. Time's ticking down, it's almost here. Maggie and Perloff, we're so near.
Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Congratulations, Jordan Love. Wow. Cashing in this weekend. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Jordan Love, 4 years, $220 million. Pearl, you add it to the 1 year and $11 million. He already had in his contract. Let's do a little math. 5 years, $231 million. And a little side note, the largest amount of guaranteed money of any Green Bay Packers quarterback in one single contract.
Yeah.
Sort of blew away Aaron Rodgers, the new money, that is, I should say, sort of blew away Aaron Rodgers. And so Jordan Love now clearly in the driver's seat.
Oh, yeah.
With the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, now it feels like they pulled it off. They went from Favre to Rodgers to Love. I mean, we already knew that based on his play last year. This contract solidifies it. I am never going to doubt the Green Bay Packers front office again, Maggie.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, listen, let's not act like there's zero risk here. You know, Jordan Love has played 18 regular season games and had 2 really amazing playoff games. This is not the sample size that you usually get when you're handing out this kind of money. It's just not. However, he did prove himself on the biggest stage, and so this thing always felt like it was going to happen. Now, what I think is really interesting about this, first of all, let's hear a little from Jordan Love, shall we, Ryan? He says the had to overcome a lot of question marks in his career. This was just the latest one.
So far in my career, there's been so many question marks, you know, getting drafted here and being behind Aaron and not knowing what that whole situation would be like and, you know, where I would be, when I would get my opportunity. So it's been humbling, you know, and just something that I've had to work in the background, like I said, and just keep working and staying true to myself and finding ways to get better and being patient, trusting the process.
And let's not kid ourselves. This was not happening midway through the season. Remember, they instead of doing the 5th-year option, the team had sort of found this middle ground with Love where they gave him this sort of 2-year bridge deal. It was a little odd, a little unique. And I think the team certainly was, you know, trying to be conservative. And they were trying to say, all right, we have to see more. And then I don't think midway through the season, anyone was saying, wow, Jordan Love's in line to sign a contract that's going to pay him average annually the same amount as Joe Burrow. That was not the conversation midway through the season.
Somebody here liked Jordan Love, even though they were. Honestly, Jordan Love, everything that was happening to the Packers in the first half of last season was not on Jordan Love. He was this is a young receiving core who is finding itself. Christian Watson comes in and out of the lineup. I think LaFleur did not have a great first half of the season. I thought Jordan Love played better than his stats and his record. Remember, the funny thing was I think he'd do nothing in the first half, and then all of a sudden he'd explode in the second half of all these games. I've always thought Jordan Love looks the part in the sense like he looks like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, forget the stats, forget the wins and losses, forget the playoff game. When that guy drops back and throws the ball 30 yards down to the sideline off his back foot, who else could do that besides Aaron Rodgers? He is obviously eyeballing it, an elite talent. Even last year when he was struggling, I'm like, ooh, he is really good. Big fan. I honestly, maybe I'm being totally naive. I see the risk with Tua. I see the risk with Trevor Lawrence. I see the risk if the Cowboys re-sign Dak. I don't feel like the risk is high here. And maybe I'm totally naive, but you're right. It's not
He's
a
played
huge sample
fewer
size.
games than all those guys.
I don't know why. I just feel like he's got everything. He's got the arm strength. He seems to have the leadership. Maybe it's just I believe the history is repeating itself. It just feels like such a Rodgers trajectory. I mean, the two remind me of each other in the sense, no conspiracy theories, no podcast for Jordan Love yet. But, he's a California kid who sat on the bench behind Aaron Rodgers. We didn't really know who he was. They got drafted right around the same spot. Rodgers was 24. Jordan Love was 26. There's so many parallels, and their style is very similar. They're both athletic, but they like to stay in the pocket. I think this is going to be great.
So obviously, this is a major boost for the Green Bay Packers. And so one thing that I found myself going to here, which is, you're right, I mean, unprecedented that you would go from Favre to Rodgers and now the upside of Jordan Love, the big contract, and we'll see if he makes good on it. But as he sits right now, it almost feels like impossible that Jordan Love would ever be able to surpass those two guys. Like Aaron Rodgers might be in the conversation for one of the greatest quarterbacks ever in terms of talent. And Favre has 3 MVPs, was the gunslinger, got to a Super Bowl, won it, lost another one. I mean, Favre, we don't talk about him now because his post-football life has been like rather unsavory. But Favre was a comet. I mean, he was just huge, everything about him.
Right, and also he played in the 90s when the rules did not help the quarterback. So his stats blew away everybody. Right now his stats seem kind of normal, but he was just way ahead of everyone. Then he came back in Minnesota right after he played with the Jets. He was should have won the MVP maybe that year in 2009, just showing once they changed the rules, he was even better once he got to a new system. So I think he's a little underrated, but specifically getting back to your original question, catching Aaron Rodgers and all those MVPs, I love Jordan Love. That's a tall task in the era of Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
I totally understand, but I think the one way that Jordan Love could actually put himself in the conversation with Rodgers and Favre and maybe even break into the top 2 is if he wins multiple Super Bowls. And he's young enough now where, it's going to be hard now in the era of Patrick Mahomes. We've said a lot about him being like Michael Jordan, where he's going to keep a lot of good guys from winning. But that would be the way to break in, I think. Because you're right. Is he actually as talented as Aaron Rodgers? That's so lofty. Is he actually going to be, even as beloved as Favre was in Green Bay? Obviously before things got a little dicey and all the fake retirements and the Willy Woney stuff. But if he wins multiple Super Bowls, I think he ends up cracking that top 2 because that's been the one thing, maybe not as much with Favre, but definitely with Rodgers, do we consider his Green Bay career somewhat of a disappointment, even though we're saying 4-time MVP, all-time great player, maybe the greatest quarterback ever, yet only 1 Super Bowl trip and a victory. That's it, just 1.
I think Rodgers was arguably a bigger disappointment. I mean, they were big favorites against Denver in that second Super Bowl and totally blew it. I think they were outcoached. Everything went wrong in that second Super Bowl. Favre should have won 2 or maybe even 3. Yeah, you're right about Rodgers. All these
all the
postseason
number 1 seeds losing. They both lost to the Giants.
I mean, the cold weather losses they both had, which are weird because you're the Green Bay quarterback. You're right. They could, but he could pass him with 2 Super Bowls. But how is he going to win 2 Super Bowls? They haven't won anything yet. How can you give him 2 rings? He's 25. I mean, I love him as a player. I just think the NFL has so much parity right now. I can't imagine him breaking through twice. And even this year, they have pretty good Super Bowl odds. I think they're top 5, top 6, top 7. Look, even in their own division, they're going to have to top the Lions, and they got the Niners. And if they happen to get through all this, they got Andy Reid and the Chiefs, possibly.
Right. Oh, it's the NFC now is definitely evening out. I mean, we'll see what happens with Caleb Williams, rather. If he ends up being this big thing, there's Jalen Hurts, your guy, is
Jaden Daniels entering the NFC. It's all of a sudden, it's going to be hard to break through here. It's Super Bowl winning. He might be elite without winning a Super Bowl.
But this is the path, I think, for him. Because if you're asking about this unprecedented chain of command here, Favre, Rodgers, now Jordan Love gets this massive contract, how Jordan Love breaks into that top 2 and maybe becomes the most beloved, maybe, is if he wins multiple Super Bowls. 855-212-4227. Because I think if you're going to say he's going to be more talented than Rodgers or more talented than Favre, I I don't know. I find that unfair. Yet I'm saying if he wins 2 Super Bowls, that's how he becomes in the top 2. So maybe I'm not being fair all the way around. But that was the first thing that came to my mind actually when I saw this contract hit the paper.
Aaron Rodgers is the all-time leader in career passer rating, which is as good a stat as any. I mean, he's avoided interceptions and thrown downfield. By the way, Aaron Rodgers isn't done. I mean, we just Good Morning Football just debuted now, and the first clip they had is Aaron Rodgers throwing bullets with the Jets. So I don't know if that affects this conversation at all because he's not going to be a Packers quarterback anymore. But that's such lofty expectations. I think it's unfair to do that to Jordan Love a little bit. Let's be honest. I mean, he just signed this big deal. Does he have to be Rodgers to succeed here?
Listen, I'm just saying it's unique pressure for him because of the history. And nobody knows that more than him. Can we hear a little more from Jordan Love, please, Ryan? Let's hear cut 5. He says the journey to this point makes the contract even more rewarding.
I think there's just been a lot of question marks on and not knowing, but I think that's the NFL. There's a lot of unknown. Everybody is, trying to be their best and get that next contract. So it's definitely very rewarding.
This is going to be a $75 million signing bonus. More of the X's and O's here. $25 million he gets next week. So good for you.
Yeah.
$25 more million on October 4th. You got that going for you. And then $25 more million on December 27th. So Merry Christmas to you.
By the way, you could hear the attitude dripping there. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. Seems like the nicest, most humble guy. I've never heard a negative word from anybody about Jordan Love. He was sitting behind Rodgers in the most awkward position in football, is being the backup to the star Packers quarterback. So all this craziness is going on with Rodgers. Handled it really, really well. It's funny. He had a little advantage with this team because Rodgers did not know Christian Watson, did not know Romeo Doubs, did not know any of the young receivers. Love came up with these guys and now has a lot of chemistry, and we saw that pay off in the second half of last season.
Perloff, there was no way Jordan Love was getting a word in edgewise when Aaron Rodgers was still on that team. I mean, he takes up so much oxygen. Good luck to him. Trying. I don't even know how he would have gotten to a microphone. Aaron's got them all.
But Aaron would only throw to Lazard and MVS. And meanwhile, Jordan Love is working in the practice squad with Romeo Doubs. They're probably this is my guy. So I think it's funny he had this shadow team going on. I think that's why let's be honest, now that we look back at it, that's why the Packers let Rodgers go. They saw this. They knew what was happening. We did not. So it all makes sense now.
855-212-4227. I know we're on in Wisconsin if you guys want to weigh in on the Jordan Love contract and sort of my idea that for Love to really, break the top 2 of Favre or Rodgers, he would have to win multiple Super Bowls, right? I mean, I think that's the path for him. Okay. Down to business. The Maggie and Perloff sitcom bracket.
Where are we at?
Well, first, let's update a couple results for you. We are down to the final 4. Seinfeld has absolutely crushed MASH. 73.3 to 26.7. Not even a competition. Seinfeld is your UConn men's basketball of this final season, just cruising their way to the finals. That was the easy part of things. The difficult part was in the other Final 4 matchup. That was Cheers, who faced off against The Office, a 1 versus 2 heavyweight battle. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you it was an even split, 50-50 on the nose. Never happened in the history of the Maggie and Perloff show. Just a tie. I mean, deadlocked. 3 days worth of voting. Not even down to a percentage point. We couldn't even get hanging chads. It was 50-50. Cheers and The Office, Perloff. I mean, we were flabbergasted.
It's ridiculous. We had a similar situation last week, and it was actually 50.2%. I can't remember the show. Ryan, do you remember the show?
It was Married with Children against
The Office, I believe.
The Office, right?
Or
wasn't here. Married with Children against Friends.
Against Friends.
Friends.
That's what it was.
Come on, Ryan, get with the program. Even if you're not here, there's no excuse not to memorize the Maggie and Perloff Twitter polls.
Okay, so what we've done with this 50-50 split between The Office and Cheers is we are doing a lightning poll now. Voting is open for 45 more minutes. You can go to @Maggie and Pearl on X, and right now it is just straight up The Office versus Cheers. Who moves on to take on Seinfeld? Go vote right now. If I'll give you some early returns, this may sway you. The Office is winning 52 to 48%. Again, super tight here, guys. If you want to let your voice be known, @Maggie and Pearl, the sudden death overtime in the Final Four bracket is live.
Yeah, Sunday night, Cheers made this massive comeback in the last 3 hours, so maybe they'll have another Cinderella story here. 48 minutes left. If you like Cheers, you better go vote.
There you go. So that's the update. Who will take on Seinfeld in the finals of the Maggie and Perloff sitcom bracket? We had clips there, didn't we, that I could have played? They're for later. I knew it all the time.
It's got to be a normie. Just off the top of your head, give us a normie line. Hey, Norm, what's going on? Or what's going down? My butt on this bar stool. That's basbasically
wow,
every
Perloff,
joke.
I felt like I was there.
Yeah, that's basically every joke.
Where was the laugh track when you need one? 855-212-4227.
Oh, like you've ever even seen an episode of Cheers. Give me a break.
I've seen a couple. I remember the finale. Okay, so that's what's going on. You can vote the sudden death overtime lightning poll here. Cheers or The Office. Go to @Maggie and Pearl. Okay, lots more to do, including we check in with the Cowboys, the latest on some very important injury news. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. You know what that music means. Cowboy Quickie time. Actually, we start off the show talking about what all these big contracts mean for Dak Prescott. Not a lot of positive news around the contract front. Now they have some bad news on the field in Dallas. Pass rusher Sam Williams went down. Immediately, everyone suspected it was serious. Turned out to be a torn ACL. He is out for the year. Now, Maggie, I like this kid a lot. Second-round pick out of Ole Miss.
Yep.
He was listed this year as Pro Football Focus's most underrated Cowboy. His Pro Football Focus numbers, for what they're worth, are off the charts. He was 36 in the league in pass pressure rate. Basically, he's a top 30 pass rusher who barely even plays that much. He rotates in, but the Cowboys lost a couple linemen this offseason. Dan Quinn took Dante Fowler and Doris Armstrong, so he would have gotten a lot of time this year. He kind of has some balance to DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. They need him. They either need a young guy to step up now or to sign a veteran, and they don't seem to be in the signing mode.
No, I mean, clearly not. Marshawn Nealand, their second-round pick this year, I guess is going to be the guy who's going to have to step up. And you're right. I mean, he's not the headliner like DeMarcus Lawrence and like Micah Parsons, who gets so much attention. But Sam Williams is definitely an important piece of that Cowboys defensive line. You know, have you noticed also, apparently Micah Parsons so far in camp just playing a lot more linebacker. You know, this is a Mike Zimmer defense now. So maybe a little bit less of the pass rush, a little bit more from the linebacker positions. Interesting.
Hate that so much. He's actually good at that position, but this is a much talked about thing in Dallas. You have this Ferrari rushing the passer. When he comes in, he's so low, he's so fast, and nobody can block him. Moving him to linebacker, what are you doing, Maggie? Not that you're doing it. I'm a little worried that Zimmer is going to take the fun out of this defense. But he is.
Do you want to win games or do you want to have fun?
I want to see Micah Parsons terrorize the quarterback. I want to go for the gold here. Yeah, honestly, he could be competent. But what would you do? You have one of the best pass rushers in recent NFL history. And you're going to play him an off-ball linebacker?
I'm just saying their linebacking core last year was an afterthought.
Yeah, I mean, their problems of stopping the run were huge. There are some rumors that they might sign Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah.
That guy's still floating around there? He's been on every team, it seems like. So I would actually, instead of playing the rookie, because that's a big risk, playing a rookie, who knows, he might be good. And instead of moving Micah Parsons up, I would get some help here. I mean, Jerry Jones said they were going to be all in, Maggie. What happened to all in? They seem in every possible way all out. So even if you're not going to do any contracts, an injury like this says to me, like, spend some money, Jerry. What are you saving them for?
That's your Cowboy Quickie for today. Yeah, tough. I mean, you hate to see the training camp stuff. And this wasn't even a padded practice. They were doing special team stuff, right? Is that where he got hurt? Did I see that?
Could be. You mentioned earlier that the stands are half empty at Oxnard where the Cowboys practice. There is a palpable lack of excitement from Cowboys fans right now. That's fair to say.
Definitely. I mean, we talk to them all the time. I feel like Cowboys fans they're sick of it. That Packers loss just really was the most demoralizing thing they've had in a while. Something about losing to the 49ers with Garoppolo when they were at home, that was an awful loss, and how the game ended was so weird, and it was just, that was brutal. But since then, the 49ers have definitely distinguished themselves as the much better team.
Yeah.
Being a 7.5-point favorite at home, I mean, I think that's what really just gut punched the Cowboy fan, and I just think they're sick of it. They don't want to hear from Jerry. They don't want to be sold a bill of goods. They're done with Dak. I don't know how they feel about CeeDee Lamb. I know they love Micah Parsons, but I don't think there's a lot of optimism at all.
We watched that game, Packers Cowboys, on NFL Network the other day. I forgot it was 27-0 in the blink of an eye.
Yep.
Packers. They couldn't stop the run. They had a pick six. Dak was not good in the first half. No, he was not good in that game. CeeDee Lamb was not good in the first half. He picked it up a little bit later, but all these issues. You can understand why they would at least think about starting over, rebuilding. Traditionally, you can't be 8-8 and then 12-5 forever. At a certain point, the Cowboys might need to rip the Band-Aid. Sam Williams, if there's another injury or something bad, any more bad news, Maggie, I'm going to throw the R word out there, rebuild.
You are welcome to weigh in at 855-212-4227. Can I ask you something? I saw you throw something out on social media this weekend. We mentioned Perloff got hacked. It was a whole situation. But then you also went to the movies this weekend.
I did. I went to the movies, old school, in the theater.
Wow.
Ate popcorn. It was awesome.
I love it. I saw this tweet from you, and it made me laugh. It got a lot of retweets and a lot of comments.
Did it really?
You said a lot of comments, not so much retweets.
Yeah.
Just saw Twister. Kind of a dumb question. Was any of that realistic?
Yes. Twisters.
I'm sorry. It's called Twisters.
It's called Twisters to distinguish it from Twister with
Helen Hunt.
Yeah. Was that Helen Hunt?
I think so. Wait a minute. So what about it seemed not, I just, you got to walk me through how you got to this question.
So, this big spoiler here. So I was shocked. It made it seem like Twisters are ravaging the country 24 hours a day.
I mean, I think we're on in the Midwest and a lot of the Plains region. I think Twisters are a big thing.
I was fortunate enough to go to the movie with somebody from that area who said, yeah, that they're real. I asked two things.
Yeah.
Was the extent of the problem as bad as the movie made it seem?
Okay.
And they said, not quite that bad. Global warming has made weather events more intense.
Okay.
The question was, can you put something into the Twister that'll make the effects less? That was the whole premise.
Oh.
And I was wondering if that was real.
Oh, I didn't know that. So that's how they're fighting.
So that was a
them.
real question. Well, that was the discussion in the movie.
I thought you were like, could a cow really get caught up in a tornado? And I'm like, definitely. Like, I don't know what else. I didn't see the first one, and I'm definitely not going to see this one.
You didn't see the first one?
I somehow missed the first one.
Who's the guy? It's Bill Paxton who passed away. He was great.
Mm-hmm.
And Helen Hunt, right?
Yes.
Could be.
Well, my mortal enemy.
Well, I always forget.
Your mortal enemy is Helen Hunt?
No. She's also in that movie, My Mortal Enemy.
That's a great little exchange between Maggie and Judah.
Wait a minute. What? How did Helen Hunt get on your bad side?
Okay. Lisa Kudrow. Now,
yeah, I know. 90s actresses.
Review of the movie. Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
Dakota Johnson, of course, Don Johnson's daughter, 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Not great. She was not perfectly cast as a tornado fighter in Oklahoma.
She couldn't pull that off. Melanie Griffith's daughter and Don Johnson's daughter couldn't pull it off.
Glenn Powell pulls up in a pickup truck, gets out, pulls off his sunglasses. The crowd goes wild in the movie theater.
In the theater?
Oh, this guy is a movie star. I am not kidding you. You know, you might know him from Top Gun, Anyone But You. Like, he carried it off. He felt like, oh, this guy's going to go out there and fight tornadoes, take his shirt off, and let's go.
Does he actually wrestle a tornado?
Yeah,
right. No, but hold it and make it stop spinning?
You can't fight a tornado with your shirt on. Everybody knows that.
Glenn Powell might not be able to act at all, but he does have that movie star thing. There's no doubt he's going to he's doing like 6 movies a year, it seems like now. Every movie that comes out, Glenn Powell's in. He was fun. My 13-year-old daughter basically stayed glued to the movie for him.
That's funny. He's a little old for a heartthrob. For your daughter.
No, she likes Brad Pitt. She's I guess she's into
How old is he?
I mean, I know
in his late
like
30s.
40-ish.
Yeah,
Is he
40.
really?
He's 35.
I feel like, for teenage girls, that's generally a younger. You're going for like
Timothy Chalamet.
I guess that, and even like the boy bands. Like these guys were young.
It's the Glennaissance, though.
What's that?
It's the Glennaissance. The summer of Glen.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you, Ryan.
You have a shirt that says that, don't you?
No, not at all.
He's selling those shirts.
I got money somehow.
And Perloff's daughters are buying them.
No, you're right. You know who she really liked was Austin Butler in Dune 2.
But he's probably like
He's
26.
much younger. Yeah, she thinks he's quote unquote fine.
Yeah, wow. That's got to be
But
funny
Timothy,
to hear.
But she doesn't. Timothy Chalamet's too boy band for her. She's like, I'm not really.
A little too pretty.
He, by the way, the trailer for Timothy Chalamet's Bob Dylan came out last week. That is getting a lot of pub. My daughter's not into it. She'd rather see Glenn Powell fight tornadoes.
I was going to say, will you be tweeting, is any of this realistic after the Timothy Chalamet is Bob Dylan biopic?
Austin Butler, by the way, 33. So
Yeah.
right up her alley, Perloff.
Yeah, I don't know. Glenn Powell. Yeah, she thinks Brad Pitt. She doesn't understand why everyone doesn't think Brad Pitt is the most handsome man in the world, and I said they do.
Yeah, no. 1994 called, yeah.
Yeah.
Then to now.
Brad Pitt is actually.
I was in middle school when Brad Pitt was 40, and I feel like a lot of girls still loved him.
Yeah.
So,
He's timeless. It's like Clooney.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like kind of like Paul Newman or whatever. Like he's iconic.
Yeah.
Clooney, I don't know. Clooney is a little different. Brad Pitt's in a separate lane. My daughter has explained this to me many times.
No, you know who the real catch is for
B.
them?
Arthur?
Only for Zoo.
Damn right.
We established he's more of an Estelle Getty person.
Oh, that's right.
Who's
It
the real
was
catch?
Peter Fonda.
Oh, jeez. That is not the name I expect.
Come on, Maggie.
Right up my alley.
Look it up.
Come on.
No, not now.
Join the crew, Maggie. Join the crew.
19 Easy Rider, whenever that came out, Peter Fonda was a fox.
You know who is a real catch back in the day? Jason Robards.
Remember, everybody, get those condoms to the senior citizen homes.
Heaven knows they need them.
Oh, gosh. The two things.
Peter Fonda?
Two things I want to cut from this segment is Maggie's love of Peter Fonda and her and Zoo going back about that Helen Hunt movie. That's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
So who's
Helen
on
Hunt
first?
is your mortal enemy? No, she was in Mortal Enemy.
No. My mortal enemy was in that movie, Twister.
See? Now
The
you wonder
tornado?
why I was confused.
Is there a movie called Mortal Enemy?
I don't know.
Wait, who's on first? I'm confused.
No, but Jamie Gertz. That's actually, me and her have had a rundown
Where
together.
are we going?
Wait a minute. Back it up. I said Helen Hunt.
Jamie Gertz was also in Twister.
Stop.
Wait. and you said my mortal enemy is in that movie, right?
Yeah.
And I said Helen Hunt, your mortal enemy.
No,
Right. Who is your mortal enemy?
Jamie Gertz.
Thank you. It's not a movie. It's actually a person. Who's Jamie Gertz?
She was the
she
Can You
owns the
Spare a
Hawks,
Square?
doesn't
Jamie Gertz is Andrew
Oh
Perloff.
my God, Zoo. This is the woman who's
Yes.
married to the guy who owns the Hawks.
Uh-huh.
This is what. Oh.
So you confused the ladies.
No, I knew exactly who it was. You guys confused what I was saying.
Why?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, I understand. Why is she your mortal
Zoo
enemy?
has an epic story where he was sent, and I believe bankrolled by Boomer Esiason.
Amongst other people, the fans, definitely. You threw in some money too, Maggie?
I Venmoed Zoo $100 and just said for the lemon pepper wings, and you never cashed it in. That's how much of a good time Zoo was having in Atlanta. Zoo got sent. I'll tell your story. You got sent to the playoffs to watch the Knicks and the Hawks.
Yep.
And you found yourself in the owner's suite, and you can take it from there.
Yeah, no, I definitely found myself over there. Got invited when I was at the game because Boomer, of course, helped me out. He's got a buddy. So his buddy goes, hey, come down at halftime. Clearly sees me wearing Knicks gear,
Yeah.
Big guy. I'm not fitting into the Hawks shirt that they're giving away for free. So me and my buddy walk down there at halftime. I'm like, all right, let's pop in. Let's get a drink. We'll say hi and we'll go. I felt kind of weird doing it anyway. We get in there. I go up to the bar with my buddy, order a drink. Grant Hill walks in, stares me down immediately as soon as he gets in the place, walks right up to me. I'm like, hey, what's up? Daps me up. I'm like, okay, we're all good. As soon as he walks away, Jamie Gertz rolls right in. Hey, you guys got to leave. And I was like, huh? I was laughing. She was like, yeah, you're wearing that Knicks stuff. You got to get out. And I was like, oh, yeah. And she was like, no, I'm being dead serious. You have to leave right now. And I was like, oh. She was like, yeah, otherwise I'm going to have security take you out of here with like a smile on her face. I was like, oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. But by the way,
I was wrong, but
EJ and I sat next to Charles Dolan at Madison Square Garden. Like if
You definitely didn't sit next to Charles.
Or I'm sorry, James Dolan.
Yeah.
If we had worn a Sixers hat, we would have been escorted out of the building. Like I'm with Jamie Gertz, dude. You can't wear a Knicks hat in a Hawks owner group. Of course you're going to get kicked out, right? Does anyone think that you're not going to get kicked out?
I'm surprised they let you into the suite to begin with the Knicks stuff on.
Yeah, you're not. You're supposed to respect the owner. That's a common knowledge, right?
But I think what was interesting about this was that Boomer had definitely hooked this up because Tony Ressler is who Jamie Gertz is married to, and he's this billionaire guy, right? And he knows Boomer, and I think he also knows Craig Carton. I think they both knew, and they both maybe got this thing in the mix. So Zoo may have had like a little bit of cover, even though he was in enemy territory. And then Jamie Gertz came and said, "Pack up your stuff and get out of here."
Yeah, I had a little bit of. That's the only way I got in. It's not like I my ticket has owner box, and I walked in. One of the other, nice people there invited me in. They saw what I was wearing. That's all I'm saying. Listen, you know what? I'm 23 at the time. I mean, I didn't go to a bunch of owners' suites when I was in college. I'm not a very rich person. I don't get invited to suites. I don't know suite etiquette. So, listen, that's my defense. Now I know suite etiquette. Don't worry about it anymore, Jamie.
We'll get that message to her.
By the way, I will openly admit, massive crush on Jamie Gertz in Lost Boys. She's a girlfriend in Lost Boys.
Yeah.
With Jason Patrick and Kiefer Sutherland. She was it in 1988.
So
not
she
that you
also,
were anywhere near alive yet, too.
She crosses over a little bit into this Maggie and Perloff sitcom bracket.
Oh, is she in a sitcom?
She is in a very famous episode of Seinfeld.
Oh, right,
like
right.
there's any others. Can you spare a square?
Oh, that's
no,
Jamie
wait,
Gertz?
no, she's not. She's
No,
the.
she was.
Is it the? Is she also the sex phone operator?
Wow.
Perhaps
It might be the same
A
episode.
double role.
Either role sounds epic.
I think that she's.
Where do I download that
yeah,
episode?
I think it's the same
I was
episode.
that's how Pearl got his
His crush?
No, she was.
No, I was gonna say his hack.
Yeah. Look up
Clicked on
Jamie
a
Gertz.
Jamie Gertz link.
She was also
Yeah.
in Less Than Zero. I don't know if you guys ever saw that. That was the drug movie about L.A. She was as hot as any female actress in the 80s could be. But I didn't remember she was in Twister. Good poll, Zoo.
I saw that movie one time and she popped up and I was like, oof, I got to turn this off. Bad memories.
Too much bad blood. All right, well, we covered a lot of ground there. Let's get to more with Andrew Bogusch, who's got headlines.
Wait, real quick. I'm looking up Seinfeld Wikipedia to find out what Jamie Gertz's character is, and I got sent to a link for Rochelle, which was always their artistic movie.
Yeah, the musical.
Yes, but it's the stall. You're right. Can you spare a square?
Can you spare a square?
You're
And
exactly
she's the sex phone operator, too. Yeah.
Olympic athletes take up a lot of space. More than 14,000 of them need a place to stay in and around Paris. The Olympic Village is not the Four Seasons, even though it cost $1.6 billion to construct. The latest evidence comes from tennis star and U.S. flag bearer Coco Gauff. A Saturday TikTok video showed the mayhem of 10 women getting ready in 2 tiny bathrooms. Goff now says 5 of her tennis friends have left for a hotel, so they're down to 5 ladies using those 2 bathrooms. But this video is just mayhem. There's people everywhere. There's makeup and hair products everywhere. They're running around screaming. And these are not, like, if we're going to, give the fencers a bad room, I kind of understand it. But Coco Gauff is like a global star-ish, and she's got 9 roommates in like a 5-bedroom suite.
I think this is the whole thing about the Olympics, except for the basketball players who I think stay somewhere totally different. I think it's just you are who you get what you get.
Even like Simone Biles and Michael Phelps and like that, they same thing.
I thought so.
Probably.
I think you can choose to not stay there, but this is the Village.
Yeah, like LeBron James isn't staying at this
No.
thing. But I think if you stay in the Village, you just get what everyone else gets.
My wife had a hot take. She said tennis has no reason to be in the Olympics. any sport that competes internationally year round, like why are they going to the Olympics? I disagreed a little bit because I think it's fun because you get Andy Murray and Rafael Nadal and some fun storylines.
Well, the other part too about tennis, they also have Davis Cup, so they already compete for their countries as
Right.
well. So they kind of have everything that the Olympics would give you. I don't mind it. It's a little like golf. Like,
Yeah,
do you like
golf,
golf
same.
as an Olympic sport?
Same dynamic. What
Yeah.
you compete internationally every week, it feels extra. Do you think the tennis players take great pride?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So in that case, it's cool. So if Coco Gauff wins, she'll be totally psyched.
See, I think that's the difference that we can miss sometimes here because we value like the leagues first. The rest of the world values playing for their country. And even though tennis is an international sport, like you're not playing for Spain when you're playing at Wimbledon if you're Rafael Nadal. But now you're playing like they always have the nationality next to the player's name.
Right.
But like it's not an international event. Like Spain's not technically winning anything if Nadal wins a tournament. But like now Spain wins something. He's wearing the Spanish colors when he plays. It's not completely different, but it's also not the same thing as a regular tennis event.
Right, but it's not a major. I mean, it's not like winning the U.S. Open where you get $2 million in prize money.
I don't know about that, but I mean, some of those players might value a gold medal just as much as a major.
I can't buy that.
They love playing for their country.
There is no tennis player on planet Earth who values a gold medal like a major.
I was watching a video this morning of a woman crying because she lost her first round match. I think she was from Brazil, like sobbing because she lost. We just don't get it. It's like hockey players. Hockey players want to win gold medals. European hockey players, they want to win gold medals before they want to win Stanley Cups. It's not our way of thinking, but that's how they think about it. Like Messi cares about Argentina more than he cares about a soccer club.
But a major tennis set, they're 4 a year. That is such a monumental thing to win one of those.
The last Olympics, we had Djokovic going for 5, and it was a huge story.
Serena's done it. The Golden Slam,
right?
They call it.
Yep.
Winning all 4 and then an Olympic gold in the same year.
And by the way, Maggie, this story about Coco Gauff and the Olympic Village confirming that they're still using what they call the anti-sex cardboard beds that you mentioned last week. Yes.
Wow. It's like, then why are they handing out all those condoms?
I don't know.
It's conflicting messages. It's like, here's all this, have safe sex, but we don't want you to have sex at all. Here's a cardboard bed. Basically, this Big Zoo, you are not a fan of this.
I mean, why are we doing the condoms? Just so that we can have them to pass out to the old folks home after the Olympics are over? What are we doing?
Just for the surplus?
Yeah, just for the surplus we're doing this? Pat Boyle gave us a story about that last week, and now it's just all for naught.
By the way, there is tennis right now. Novak Djokovic beat Rafael Nadal in the first set, 6-1. They're on to the second set, playing on clay at Roland Garros. Patriots D tackle Christian Barmore is being treated for blood clots. He is out indefinitely. He just signed a 4-year extension with $41 million guaranteed. He thanked fans for their thoughts and prayers on social media yesterday. The Boston Red Sox now 2-7 since the All-Star break after last night's 8-2 home loss to the Yankees. Manager Alex Cora staying calm.
We're okay. Today we're a little bit sloppy, obviously defensively, but overall, the effort is there. We had a chance to win the series. Yesterday it didn't happen, so you just got to turn the page, be ready for tomorrow.
Sounds like he is in the shower already. Tomorrow is now today. They host the Mariners. This slump has the Sox 1 game behind the Royals for the last AL wildcard spot. They're 6.5 off the pace of the Orioles in the AL East. And a little F1 controversy yesterday. George Russell won the Belgian Grand Prix until he didn't. His car was 3.3 pounds underweight during post-race inspection, so Russell was DQ'd, giving the win to his teammate Lewis Hamilton, who was going to come in second. Russell made one less tire change than everyone else, and the extra wear and tear on those tires might explain a good chunk of that lost weight. The team taking all the blame for this, saying it simply made bad calculations. Guys,
the worst is like they pop the champagne.
Oh,
like,
no.
They celebrate it, and it's like, everybody who won today, take a step forward. Not so fast, George.
Well, somebody should have thrown a rock into the passenger seat or something. Just give the guy a little help.
Oh, my God.
Just cheat.
That's awful. 855-212-4227. Thank you so much, Bogus. Coming up, we have the training camp story that nobody is talking about. They absolutely should be. This is what you come to Maggie and Perloff for. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Peter Bellotti, he's a man of many tastes, but he's got a debt, and it's not going to waste. Andrew Bogusch is waiting, he's been oh so kind for that well-seasoned steak. It's been on his mind. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well-seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. Andrew Bogusch's been patient, but he's starting to drool, thinking about that steak. Oh, it's making him cool. Peter Bellotti, don't delay. It's time to make amends. Cook up that steak, and they'll be the best of friends. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well, seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. A dash of salt, a pinch of pepper, garlic and herbs, oh it couldn't get better. Sizzle on the grill, make it medium rare. Peter Bellotti, show Andrew you care. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well, seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. So let's end this saga with a juicy bite. Andrew Bogusch and Peter Bellotti, friends under the knife. With a steak well cooked, this story's complete. Peter Bellotti, your debt is now sweet. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew bake that steak.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining.
Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. A dash of salt, a pinch of pepper, garlic and herbs, oh it couldn't get better. Sizzle on the grill, make it medium rare. Peter Bellotti, show Andrew you care. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak.
45 seconds
So let's end this saga with a juicy bite. Andrew Bogusch and Peter Bellotti, friends under the night. With a steak well cooked, this story's complete. Peter Bellotti, your debt is now sweet.
.30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Okay, lots to do, including the one training camp storyline that not enough people are paying attention to. But first, our pal Leland is in Sacramento, wants to talk about his beloved 49ers. Good morning, Leland.
Hey, good morning, Maggie and Perloff. How you guys doing today?
We're awesome. What's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to comment on the holdouts going on in San Francisco with Trent and
Brandon Ayuk.
Brandon. I was going to say BA. I am just so upset about that. In what world can you expect to be paid, $14.5 million and decide it's not enough? And you're under contract. No world but the NFL. And then Trent Williams, all of a sudden, it's time to, practice. He holds out too. I'm really disappointed with Trent Williams. Brandon Ayuk, I know that's the kind of guy he is. But Trent Williams, I am really disappointed in his character.
Yeah.
Really disappointed. And, training camp's a time where, when you set the mold what the O-line and the D-line is going to be about. And I just feel like Trent needs to show up.
But wait, Leland.
Brandon Ayuk.
You said Ayuk. You know what kind of person Ayuk is. Like, you understand Ayuk hasn't gotten paid yet, and he could get hurt. So are you saying you forgive Ayuk for holding out and not Trent Williams?
No, I don't forgive him. But he's the younger crowd, and they're more up and down with their emotions.
I think it's just a dangerous sport, and the guy hasn't got his contract yet, and he's using what leverage he has. I don't hold that against him as much. If you in that model, I would hold it more against the lineman because he's been paid, Trent Williams.
Absolutely. I mentioned I'm really disappointed in Trent Williams for this, the type of image he's putting forth of himself.
Leland, I think a lot of fans have that same sentiment. And thank you so much for the call. And I think this is how teams have leverage, because they know that it's going to be unpopular when a player holds out, because we get to see their salaries. They're all public. They're all big, because of regular people like us, we would kill to be making this amount of money, right? We can't even fathom this much. It's like monopoly money. And why shouldn't they just play? And I think this is, again, one of the things that teams count on, is knowing that the public pressure is not going to actually be on the team. It's really going to be more on the player. And wait, it's going to happen with the Cowboys too, where people, as we get closer to, as training camp continues, people are going to start saying, CeeDee Lamb, why don't you show up, as opposed to Jerry and Stephen Jones, why don't you pay the guy?
You're absolutely right. I mean, the one reason that might be is the team is going to be there forever. That player is going to be gone in 4 years. And players are, in a sense, mercenaries. They have to be, especially football is such a short lifespan. I've heard football players talk about it. Even good players, you never know. You might have a couple years left. It's not like baseball or basketball where you get these huge guaranteed contracts. That's another thing. It's one thing to yell at an NBA player who has a 4-year, $180 million deal.
Yeah, who wants to take off games on a random Thursday night in February in Milwaukee. Yeah.
Trent Williams has this big contract, but they can cut him next year.
Yeah,
so
no guarantees left.
It's a different sport. I don't necessarily agree with Leland about the younger generation. Like, they're more emotional. I think there's a rational, like what Ayuk's doing is kind of rational. I get it. I think he just wants more money.
I think it's way more calculated. I think the emotion, listen, Ayuk's been on social media. He's taken it to a different level, is like, if you want to say, is like kind of made it a little messier.
Yeah.
But behind it all is a business decision. So he's actually being quite rational. It's just there's only a couple ways to get there. Either you become a pain in the butt, or you maybe never get the contract.
I had forgotten, though, about him talking about how much he loves Jaden Daniels in Washington, his former college quarterback.
Yep.
So I understand what Leland is saying there about Brandon Ayuk is emotional, but at the end of the day, like, you got to be rational about this, and it makes sense to hold out. If I was a player, I have to admit, I would probably hold out, because it's going to work, too. That's the other thing.
I want to let you know what's going on right now.
Oh, my gosh, we have 8 minutes left.
I know. It's 7. We have 7 minutes left on the Maggie and Perloff sudden death overtime Final Four matchup between The Office and Cheers. This is who punches their ticket to the finals to take on Seinfeld. We started with 64 sitcoms. We're down to the final 3. Seinfeld has already marched on. They took out MASH. Now it is The Office and Cheers, who were deadlocked at 50% each after 3 days of voting. We put a quick flash poll up to try to get to the bottom of this. And right now, Perloff, 51 to 49%.
Oh, my gosh.
This thing is still just tooth and nail.
What if we have another tie?
7 minutes left.
What's the process if we have another tie?
EJ? Got the fine print?
I mean, I think at that point we'd have to do another quick, maybe half-hour poll. I think that would be my vote.
Or it goes to the Supreme Court. We have to check the Constitution, the Maggie and Perloff Constitution.
Is there are we going to end up with a 30-second poll? Like what? That's not a democracy. Like we're trying to get closer to the answer here. Oh my gosh.
This is incredible. I mean,
6 minutes
we're
left.
talking about decimal points right now. I'm looking at a 50.6 to 49.4 difference right now. I mean, this is like trying to see who won like Wisconsin in 2016. This is crazy.
It's going to be a photo finish, everybody. At Maggie and Pearl on X if you want to vote. Wow. We will determine and we will have an answer. We will have a final matchup in 6 minutes. The Office. Cheers. Sam versus Michael Scott. Who will win? We'll tell you.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Our priorities are all out of whack. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Get to the very important news regarding the sitcom bracket in just a moment. But Perloff, I'm like bothered by some of the headlines that came out yesterday after Team USA, the men's basketball team, won. Okay, they beat Serbia yesterday by, 26 points? Crushed Nikola Jokic, three-time MVP, obviously did not have enough firepower with his teammates, but they win.
Mm-hmm.
This is good. This is a good thing. Kevin Durant has this amazing game. LeBron James has a great game, and everything should be positive. Yet I feel like the 1A headline coming out is that Jason Tatum didn't play. And I have two words in the form of a question. Who cares? Who could possibly care about that? You have Jason Tatum, didn't play. The team won. The team won, right? Everyone, the team won. They're going for a gold medal, right? They won yesterday. Yeah. Steve Kerr didn't say he was benched for disciplinary reasons. He's not hurt. He just didn't get in. It's an all-star team of guys who are in Paris right now playing for Team USA, but it's not the all-star game. It's not everybody has to get in. This is not an exhibition. These count now. So if Steve Kerr couldn't get Jason Tatum into the game, who cares?
Wait, I could not disagree more.
What does it matter?
First of all, it is an all-star game. It's the Olympics. It's not the NBA Finals. Who cares? They're going to whoop Serbia. Serbia was not good this year. This is like the team around them. Maybe they win a game or two here, but obviously, Jason Tatum could have played and they could have won by the same exact margin. He's Jason Tatum. He killed guys in exhibition games. Nobody could cover him.
Okay, so he's going to play the next game.
No, I honestly, if I'm Jason Tatum, I'm not even there. I just fly home. I'm like,
No.
I will see you in the NBA Finals and I will whoop you, KD and LeBron.
No, Jason Tatum should be comfortable enough with, look at the year he's had, right? He's been first team All-NBA for 3 seasons, including this year. He just won the finals. Finally, they break through, get over the hump. Okay, he wasn't finals MVP. That was Jaylen Brown, who's not even here, by the way.
And by the way, he has every reason to be upset as well.
Totally. I understand him being upset. He 100% got snubbed out of this. But again, Tatum's going to get his chance.
He shouldn't. He should be home on the couch watching gymnastics with the rest of us.
I mean, as delightful as that sounds, I just don't get the up in arms about this when the ultimate goal is what? For the team to win. At the end of the day, as long as they're hoisting gold medals, that's all that should matter.
They're going to win this. They're going to win this tournament.
They look really good.
With or without Jason Tatum. So why not just, you're playing Derek White 16 minutes? Derek White, who's on the same team. There is a lack of respect here.
But
it's just
okay, that's okay. Derek White is playing because he's in these rotations,
Right.
and Steve Kerr is trying to do these specific rotations. Okay.
Yeah.
If you think this was like disrespectful,
Yes,
and
I
you
do.
okay, then what's the motivation? Because if there's a disrespect, there has to be a motivation. What could Steve Kerr's possible motivation be for not playing Jason Tatum? What does he care?
Well, I'll tell you what he cares. It's probably not going to happen, but if the Warriors ever got to the finals against Boston, Boston would beat them on a hard 4-0 this time.
They did
hard
that
4-0.
a couple years ago, and the Warriors won.
Yeah, I know, a couple years ago. Now Tatum's a much better player. He would dunk on everybody's head, and then he would spit on the coach. I'm telling you right now, there's no, that's too far. I'm just trying to think, what can you do to a coach? You can yell at him, I guess. The point is, this doesn't strike you as odd. First of all, odd. Second of all, yes, it's disrespectful. Jason Tatum balled out in the finals. He didn't score as much because he was too busy playing 4 and rebounding like crazy. I think this is ridiculous.
Let's hear from Steve Kerr, because this doesn't sound like somebody who's got like malicious intent here. This does not sound like a coach who's going out of his way to try to prove a point or make a point or try to embarrass Jason Tatum. Here is Steve Kerr. Let's hear cut 9 first, please, Ryan. Spoke to Tatum about potentially not playing.
Jason handled it really well. I talked to him today before the game that it may play out this way, just with Kevin coming back and the lineups that I wanted to get to. But that'll change. You know, Jason's going to play. Every game's going to be different based on matchups.
By the way, Kevin Durant was unreal. Durant had the first half of a lifetime. He scored 17 points in like the blink of an eye.
Couldn't miss.
They were not going to sub him out at that point, or they were not going to change rotation just for Tatum. Here's more from Curry. Says he feels dumb for not playing Tatum. Okay.
He's a total pro. He's, first team All-NBA 3 years in a row. I felt like an idiot not playing him. But in a 40-minute game, you can't play more than 10. You really can't.
Okay, there's logic behind all of this. And then Kerr says Jason Tatum will play in the next game.
I think he's an amazing guy, great player, and handled it beautifully. And, he'll be back out there next game.
Case closed.
Well, here's my issue with what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're acting as if this is an NBA game where it's standings, everything. There is a symbolic element. This is not really like the same level of competition as the NBA. Like in the NBA, you have to be as cutthroat as possible to win a title. Like it's really hard. They've had like 6 different champions in 6 years.
Right.
U.S. is going to win. Like there is an all-star game element to this. Like I think they do have to play everyone and make them happy. I'm sorry. It's not going to cost them the gold in any way.
See, I disagree. I think that there was no malice behind this. There was just the idea that they went with the rotations that were working. They won by 26 points. The fact that I'll say sports media society or sports fans, the fact that we've come up with something to complain about is, I think, what people believe is what's wrong sometimes with sports. Like, how did we invent something out of thin air to be so upset on behalf of Jason Tatum? Okay, if you're a diehard Celtics fan, maybe because you put this on top of the Jaylen Brown stuff, but you still had Derek White out there being awesome. Like, do you want to win a gold medal or not? And you're right. Jason Tatum not being there didn't have any bearing on this, and him being in the next game will probably help. It's not like the Olympics are over and he never got in the game.
You could have checked me in for 14 minutes and won that game by double digits. What the heck are we doing here? Yes, of course if you're going to fly him out there to Paris and make him do all this, you got to give him some minutes. It's totally embarrassing. I disagree with you. And I do think this is ultimately an exhibition game anyway. So why not get him out there?
Well, this is the group play. So, okay, when's the next game? It's it's Wednesday. Wednesday, July 31st at 3:00 Eastern time.
Against who? Puerto Rico?
Against South Sudan.
Oh, South Sudan. I mean, okay.
Okay. Listen, they barely beat South Sudan in the exhibition. And if we see Jason Tatum, then what, guys? Like, you can't, you're not going to be upset because he's going to play.
Well,
like,
what if they sack KD for the rest of the game with that?
I don't care.
You
as
don't
long
care
as
after the
winning.
guy? Well, okay. But there's symbolism here. It's not just about winning. In me. I mean, come on. You're really going into this tournament? You're America. You have LeBron James and Steph Curry and Anthony Edwards. Like, you're saying that, like, they need to, like, really fine-tune their rotations to get out of here with a medal?
I'm just saying.
Get out of here.
Whatever Steve Kerr did in that game worked. So why are we complaining about it?
You know what he did? He was a coach of Team USA men's basketball. That's what worked. You're awesome. You have Jason Tatum on the bench. Like, don't give me any rotate. There's no strategy. Steve Kerr didn't do anything here.
Well, he
did nothing. He just rolled the ball out and let the 8 best players on planet Earth win the game.
Do you understand what he's saying, though, where he's like, am I really going to go more than 10 deep in a 40-minute game?
Yes. Yes, you're going to at least check Jason Tatum in for a little run.
See, I think
so
that's more disrespectful. Like, if you check Jason Tatum in at the end like he's some walk-on,
Check
that
him in
to
in the,
me
put
is,
him in the first half. I don't care what your rotations are.
But here's the thing. He was going with what was working. Okay?
What was working? Oh, my God. Okay.
Katie maybe put together the best half of basketball that's ever been played at the Olympics. You're subbing him out when he can't miss to bring in Jason Tatum. Why?
If putting in Jason Tatum is going to cost you the gold medal, then just hang it up and don't even
it's
be
not
there.
costing you. I'm just saying it's like I just don't understand the up in armsness about it when the outcome of the game was positive for Team USA.
Because obviously it's going to be positive. I mean, that doesn't mean anything.
No, but some of these exhibition games, it actually wasn't a given. Like, they were close in some of these. And so I think they actually were trying to figure out the rotations that make the most sense. Listen, I was at the Olympics in Athens when they got the bronze, and they lost to Puerto Rico, and they lost to Argentina. And they were not doing symbolic check-ins at that time because LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, had their behinds on the bench basically the entire game for Larry Brown putting in Stephon Marbury and Richard Jefferson.
They might have won if they'd done some symbolic check-ins.
I know that's
Get Marbury off the court.
They didn't need it this time. EJ, you wanted to weigh in on this. Do you think I'm off base?
Well, Maggie, I think Perloff makes a good point. I mean, this is Jason Tatum we're talking about, right? So, like, the other bench warmers we've seen on Team USA in the past have been like your Carlos Boozers, your Michael Reds, your Christian Laettner, college player, Anthony Davis, rookie. I mean, we're talking about guys who are like fringe all-stars or even college players who didn't get time, who oftentimes were sitting on the bench. Jason Tatum's a 3-time All-NBA player. This guy's won an NBA championship. I mean, I think there is a little difference when it comes to the disrespect factor for a guy who's this accomplished. It's not like he's a barely all-star. He's one of the best players in the NBA.
That's fine. What was the final score of the game? Or what was the outcome of the game? The U.S. won by 26 points. How we find something to complain about after that is wild to me. And everyone's taking up for Jason Tatum when Steve Kerr is saying he's going to play in the next game. So, like, where's the disrespect? He's going to play.
Okay, but Maggie, but then to your point, though, if you're saying, well, they won the game, so what difference does it make? Well, if you won with him sitting on the bench, then if you're a good coach, why are you throwing him in? Why don't you just do what worked? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I think South Sudan poses a different type of unique threat than Serbia did, clearly. No, I mean, this just to me felt like outrage for the sake of it because Jason Tatum, like, again, unless you're a Celtics fan, Cap, obviously, I understand if you want to see your guy. But beyond that, like, really? You're that offended that Jason Tatum didn't get in? Get out of here.
Well, it's like the dream team. I mean, like, I don't know. It's just like the thing that you're treating it like it's some like game 4 of the NBA Finals just seems silly to me. The United States plays Serbia, who I can't believe I thought Serbia was good. I don't know what happened there. I mean, obviously Joker will get them some wins. Then they play Puerto Rico, South Sudan and Puerto Rico. You're telling me these are not exhibition games? These are like, oh man, Kerr better play the right rotations or we're in trouble?
Well, but again, is he going to empty the bench just for the sake of it too? And I think that's more disrespectful to Jason Tatum if you had symbolically got him in for like the last 90 seconds.
I agree.
Of the game.
Play him in the first half. For sure, you play Jason Tatum. And honestly, it is a little weird that he's such a better player than Derek White. It's night and day.
Well, they have White in there for defense and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like having Anthony Edwards on your team and playing Michael Conley for 19 minutes and benching Anthony Edwards. The whole thing is bizarre to me.
855-212-4227. How about your boy Embiid getting booed?
By the way, talking about a guy who they should bench Embiid for Tatum.
Well, 4 points, 2 rebounds.
He's not good at international play.
I think that's what makes the Tatum thing also so glaring, is it's not like we don't have another star who definitely should be sitting. Like, if Kerr is saying that Tatum is a coach's decision, what the hell is the decision to keep playing Joel Embiid? I saw Bill Simmons said it feels like Team USA is minus 57 when Joel Embiid is out there. I mean, Joker saw him on the court and was like, oh, give me the ball. This is when I go attack. Like, he was awful. He's been awful the whole exhibition run, too.
I think there's a thought that you need size. I mean, but Embiid and Tatum, that's not the same. Like, that's not sub in, sub out one guy. That's very, you're talking about a whole different 5 on the floor, if that's your thought, right?
Forget about angry and all this stuff. You watch that Olympics game, and Tatum wasn't on the court, but LeBron seems like the best player. But if you had to pick one player for next year's NBA season, I think 99 out of 100 people would take Jason Tatum.
Well, for the next season, I think Anthony Edwards is probably going to be the guy.
If your choice was Jason Tatum and LeBron, I think you would take Tatum.
Oh, well, yeah, but this is like a sprint. We're just talking about,
what is
it, 8 games total?
I don't know.
Maybe
Even
9?
if it was the Celtics against the Lakers in the finals, I feel like Tatum would be a problem for the Lakers. It's just ironic. I mean, you could argue he's better than some of the guys in the starting lineup.
Yeah, but this is like LeBron's games.
So it's symbolic. You just admitted it. It's not about winning. It's about symbolism. And it's, in the sense, exhibition. It's LeBron games. It's not even about Team USA.
Honestly, they made this choice about it being about LeBron a long time ago. He's the guy. He's gonna. This is his thing.
Right, and that's not a strategic move. That is a lifetime honoring thing. So if you're doing things that aren't about basketball, at least show a little respect to one of the best players in the world.
Listen, I think 2 things about that. One, if they were struggling, I could understand where you could be upset about LeBron getting so much burn over a guy like Tatum. And 2, sounds like you're making my Caitlin Clark argument.
Oh, yeah. I've come around on that, Caitlin. Like, the fact that Caitlin's not there, I mean, because...
Crazy that she's not there, right? Now it's crazy.
I'm going to say
Team
crazy. USA women's basketball is an exhibition game because they are not losing. So what do we do? Like, why would I turn that on? It's a full exhibition game. So you might as well get the best players in. At least the men's side is going to be a little more competitive. Like, when's the last time the women lost?
92?
Yeah, so you're right. I think actually when you were off, I flip-flopped on that topic.
Oh, did you flip-flop? Oh, you're back. You're on my side now about Caitlin.
Yeah, as we got closer to it, and I actually have the reality of trying to watch the women's game when there's no drama because they're going to win, you might as well have had Caitlin out there.
I like this from Daly, who's in our chat, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet. Daly, one of the loyal Weedos. Steph barely played. Embiid's not a good international player. Tatum didn't play. Who cares? USA clowned Serbia.
Yeah.
Boom.
By the way, I have to admit, I was rooting for Canada a little bit. Now I don't even care. I'm not going to watch a second of men's basketball for about the 8th Olympic in a row. So there's no drama here.
So now what sport are you going to watch more?
Simone Biles.
Yeah, it's all
like
about
the rest of America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need some drama. I need the juice, Maggie. I don't even know, like, what are the spreads on the USA games? I thought, by the way, can we all do you thought they would drop a game.
I did. I thought they'd lose a
EJ,
game.
you were a little nervous about the structure of Team USA. Did all of that, and I also thought that they might be in trouble. It all went away from me after that game. After KD came out, I thought KD was hurt. What happened there? Someone fill me in.
No, he's like, apparently he's the best he's ever played. I mean, the guy hasn't played since April in a game, and here we are. Now, you've been watching a lot of gymnastics.
Yes.
I watched quite a bit as well over the weekend.
Yes, and in part, it gets into our Jordan LeBron debate a little bit.
Why?
Because there's a gymnast named Jordan Childs who is named after Michael Jordan. Jordan texted her right before she went on, and she killed it.
Whoa, I didn't know that story.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, gymnastics where it's at, Maggie.
I love it. Can I ask you something? Have they been stepping out of bounds more often than they generally do?
All the time.
I'm not going to claim to be Miss Gymnastics.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan. I can't do a forward roll without getting nauseous. But I think they're stepping out of bounds a lot.
I had the same observation. I was wondering, it's sort of a cardinal sin of the floor routine to step out of bounds, right?
It's a 1/10 of a point deduction, and I just found out that if you have 2 feet out, it's 3/10 of a point.
And Simone Biles stepped out, but then was so dominant the rest of the run that it didn't matter.
I think they're trying things that are so crazy, you can't possibly land in bounds. Like, it takes so much to take off in the way that Simone Biles does and to do these complicated floor exercises. There's no way you could, like, contain yourself.
Yeah. My favorite part is when they're paused and they have to do the little jazz hands, like 20-second little dance routine riff. And like what they come up with, like they're doing all these crazy athletic moves and they're like, let's stop and jam for a second. It's always like a light rock jam. Like, like you can't see on radio what I'm doing now, but it's awful. You know that little pause to dance? And it's always the dumbest dance. Like it's something out of a bad cheerleading movie. It's like Simone Biles, the greatest athlete in the world, quadruple flip. Now she's just going to do a little ditty for about 15 seconds while she gets her breath. You know what I'm talking about?
Of course I know what you're talking about. I think there is a technical part of that, but I don't know what it is.
It's always so silly. But she did a jump. She did a jump yesterday. She just runs, jumps up in the air, must have done 4 flips based on her own momentum. Incredible. I mean, I'm late to the party here, but Simone Biles will definitely, if she wins a gold and goes through on this, on the hurt calf, I mean, her GOAT status is undeniable.
855-212-4227. There's your Olympic gymnast breakdown, Maggie and Perloff style. Perloff doing jazz hands on the stream. It was kind of like guns. You were doing the...
They do like these little, they're always like
They're
doing these
voguing,
moves.
basically.
Yeah, they're all, is it on tonight? Watch it, and you won't be able to unsee it. You won't be able to unsee it. Just these great athletes just doing a little dance.
Yeah. Oh, the men are today, Big Zoo's telling me? Great. Love it.
Did anyone happen to see the guy who was on the high bar and the men and fell flat on his face
That
yesterday?
was awesome.
Wait.
Zoo. It was terrifying.
That he fell? That's not awesome.
What about the guy on the diver?
Funniest thing I've ever seen.
The diver that just goes off at a board and literally backflops into the pool in one of the most hilarious flips that I've ever seen.
Oh, he did like 4 turns and ended up going horizontally, belly flop. I think he was he on his back or his front?
I thought it was his back, but it could have been
definitely his
either
back.
way. That's pain.
Oh, God. And the tweets about it were so funny.
You guys are ghouls. How are you reveling in this? Especially for the divers and the gymnasts, people who, it's not like they're making this great living the other 3 years. They work their whole lives for this. They faceplant and you're like, that was awesome.
If they're lucky, they'll make some money off the faceplant.
This guy, oh my God. It was just, his setup was so perfect. He looked poised, ready to go. He's been practicing for 4 years, and then he just flopped.
I felt terrible for the male gymnast because he fell. Then his fiance's crying in the stands. You know, the parents who picked up and moved across the country and all the sacrifices, and then he just fell. It was like, it's like it's over. That's it.
I saw a tweet with the back flop guy that said, "This is what happens when I lie on my resume."
I just love it. There was one tweet just said, "Nailed it."
I saw it too. So this is me at the pool after 5 high noons.
Yeah, exactly.
Said that.
That was funny.
Been there. 855-212-4227. All right. Your favorite Olympic event, what are you getting into? I've been into it. The basketball's whatever, but the other stuff is phenomenal. The gymnastics, the swimming.
Yeah, I mean, basketball, if it gets tight in the medal round and we have to see LeBron, that'd be unbelievable to see. But right now, if they blow everyone out, can't get into it.
All right, we got results for you. Maggie and Perloff sitcom bracket, Final Four, the flash poll that had to break a tie between The Office and Cheers. The results are next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Crazy times at the Maggie and Perloff show. Our greatest sitcom ever bracket is nearing its conclusion. We had a tie last night between Cheers and The Office, an actual tie. We're not making this up. It wasn't like close. It was same exact number of votes on both after 3 days of voting. So we had a 2-hour flash poll. The results are in. Maggie, who will advance? Is it Cheers or The Office?
Okay, so as you said, this was the number 1 seed in the Cheers region. Cheers.
Are you saying that I'm too dumb to date smart women?
I'm saying that it would be very difficult for you. A really intelligent woman would see your line of BS a mile away.
You think so, huh?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah, well, I've never met an intelligent woman that I'd want to date.
On behalf of the intelligent women around the world, may I just say,
Cheers going up against the 2 seed in this region, The Office.
What you're saying is extremely misogynistic.
Yes. Thank you. That was not necessary, but I appreciated it. And proves my point. Women can do anything.
I'm saying that you're being sexist.
No, I'm being misogynistic. That is insane. I am not being sexist.
That's the same.
Yeah.
Forgot to say Rashida Jones and how good she was in The Office.
She's
too.
awesome. I'm a huge fan.
All right. Do you have the drum roll, please? The winner in the sudden death overtime of the Final Four of the Maggie and Perloff TV sitcom bracket, The Office. 52 to 48%. It will be The Office against Seinfeld in the final.
That's exciting. You really couldn't go wrong. Both great shows. Cheers, The Office. No shame in losing in the Final Four.
You know, I kind of love Seinfeld versus The Office in the final. I feel like this is very representative of 2 of the greatest sitcoms of all time. I think People had an issue with our seating from the very beginning. They were critical. People like Perloff, who was actually on the committee. Bogus, you were also critical. America was critical. But I think ultimately we did get to a perfect final. Seinfeld in The Office.
I don't know if I can buy that. That just because you got Seinfeld and the number 2 seed The Office in the final match, that doesn't mean that some of the shows should have been, especially seeds 12 to 16. But that's where we lost it a little bit.
Okay, well, what of those 12 to 16 seeds do you think really would have been in the final?
Well, nothing was going to get the final. It's about making the tournament. Like, for example, the Pilati Invitational Tournament had Three's Company versus Home Improvement in the final match. I'm like, how did those shows not sneak into our bracket? Those are iconic sitcoms. So I think those were legitimate snubs. And by the way, I don't think I had either of them on my original bracket either. So I'm not saying it's not my fault too. I do think we screwed up some of the shows.
Okay,
we went a little niche when we should have gone with my general take is we should have gone with some of the broader comedies.
Okay, but we eventually got to Seinfeld versus The Office. Like this in the year 2024 is a great final to have.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you tell the donors? You didn't even make the tournament? Like, I think there's value to who goes into the tournament. I mean,
I didn't even go back to our 316 though. I mean, the seeding was chalk for a lot of this. So this idea that these seeds that didn't make it or seeds that were too low would have went on some big run. I don't see that. I think the results of these brackets show that we mostly got these seeding right. I'm standing on business on this seeding.
I think
because it was your seeding. You better stand up.
It was a 3-part committee. Don't listen to Perloff, who keeps trying to distance himself.
Bogus, be the voice of reason here.
Yeah, I don't think that because you got to a good place, it erases all of the very legitimate complaints about who was in the bracket. And then for me, the way some of the seeding went, because there were a lot of good shows that got canceled out early because they were underseeded and therefore had to face tougher competition first. So those issues still remain. And whether whoever's in the final doesn't change any of that.
And the reality, too, is for everybody, no matter what our seeds were, people were going to be mad. We saw that when we created this.
Well, we did.
Yeah, people took sitcoms very, very seriously, as they should.
Now the voting will be open momentarily for the final, Seinfeld versus The Office. Good luck, America. I'm voting for that one. Anyone want to say who they're going to vote for? You want to think about it?
I'm going to
I'm voting for The Office.
Seinfeld's going to crush this one.
You think so? Should we have a spread on this? How many percentage points do you think Seinfeld will win by? I don't know.
Seinfeld's been like UNLV in 1990 or whatever year. They've just been destroying the competition. They've been running away with it. In fact, at the point where you could actually sit Newman by the fourth quarter. I mean, they were so far ahead.
It's a UCLA-like run for them.
Yeah, it just feels like based on the results, I would go Seinfeld. But you know what? That's why they play the games, Maggie. That's why they have the votes. Sometimes multiple votes.
Like today, we needed a sudden death overtime poll just to get to the results. Okay, there you go. At Maggie and Pearl, Bogish has headlines high.
U.S. women's basketball debuts in Paris, 3 Eastern against Japan. As we know well by now, Caitlin Clark is not there, but maybe she should be, says Dawn Staley, who was on the committee that didn't pick Clark back in early June.
Caitlin is just a rookie in the WNBA. Wasn't playing bad, but wasn't playing like she's playing now. If we had to do it all over again, the way that she's playing, she would be in really high consideration of making the team because she is playing head and shoulders above a lot of people.
Staley said that on NBC yesterday morning during the men's win over Serbia.
It's an argument.
I don't think they help. I don't think she helped anything.
She did not.
By doing this.
No.
Yeah. I think at this point you have to say we stand by our selections, that we believe that this is the team that gives us the best chance to win or whatever. I think a lot of doing the revisionist thing and like, if we knew then what we know now, she should be there. I just think it got people riled up all over again.
Yes.
Can I also say one thing though? I stuck around specifically for halftime to see what NBC would do for halftime of the men's game. I mean, maybe revolutionary. 2 people on the set. Like, we could do that, everyone. We don't need 7 people doing a halftime show.
Who was it?
It was Mike Tirico and Dawn Staley. That's it.
Oh, okay.
When
I was in London, that's how the finals was being broadcast on BBC One. It was just two people on a set.
Yeah, but don't they do that Monday Night Football? I feel like they do SVP and Ryan Clark at times. Just they kind of pare down that halftime show.
Yeah, but that is not the norm.
But it
the
doesn't
norm
matter
is to
because-
have every one of their moms sitting on a set.
But the problem is ESPN runs in a 20-minute halftime, 19 minutes of commercials. So they basically, even SVP and Ryan Clark don't get a word in.
I thought it was kind of refreshing. I'm like, great, 2 people.
Yeah,
that was refreshing. What was not refreshing is Dwayne Wade saying for the 15th time his pronouns, he and him. He must have used that line at least 15 times over the weekend.
Who was he talking
kept
to?
saying any good player that played in these games. So he used that for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander on Saturday. And then on Sunday for LeBron and Kevin Durant, he kept saying, ladies and gentlemen, his pronouns, he and him.
Oh, like he's him. Oh, I
Yes.
didn't get that.
Oh, like
at first I thought you were talking about something. Okay.
Like as a as a compliment.
Yeah,
as a compliment, but he used this line, and then he went on Twitter and was joking, hey guys, let me tell you something about LeBron James. He is he and him. And we're like, yeah, we know, dog. You said it 15 times during the broadcast.
Not a bad line, but you can only use it once, right, EJ?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's hard to have the discipline just to hold back like that. Dwayne Wade also was using a lot of us and we, but
and would catch himself sometimes.
he did catch himself and like apologize, like, sorry, I'm still new. I consider myself part of this team. I don't think that's that crazy.
That's
No.
fine.
It happens.
Did you guys see, back to Caitlin real quick, did you see the tweet over the weekend that made the rounds that she already has more assists than 75% of the players in WNBA history?
Yeah.
And it's true.
I've actually done a deep dive into the WNBA. Apparently, before Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese came, nobody scored more than 8 points in a game or had 2 assists. How is every single
the
day
weirdest
a new
thing.
What is going on with the WNBA? Did nobody score a basket until these 2 people arrived? It's strange. Anyway, that's just my only take.
I
They
think-
break so many records every day.
Right. Is part of it because that first wave of great players when the league started, they were all like near the end, they were in the back half of their career. Like Cynthia Cooper played, I think, 3 WNBA seasons.
No one's ever had
Because
more
when she was
double doubles in a
30-something in
row
the league-
than Angel Reese. Like that's crazy.
I don't know.
I think the problem is, one, these rookies didn't typically come in and just like
and play
dominate like this, like except for maybe Brianna Stewart and Candace Parker. So that's number one. Number two, I think it's similar to the NBA where the women play at a way faster pace now than they did, especially in the 90s for sure. When I was watching those games as a kid, like it was kind of like the NBA in the 90s too. It was very physical, slow down pace of play. They shoot a lot of threes. They get the ball up and down the court. I think some of this is just like also the evolution of basketball.
Yeah, the era. You were not having the scoring. It was really dominated by bigs. I mean, it still kind of is.
But it seems impossible that she's already in the top 25% of assists halfway through her rookie season.
It's got to be pace of game.
Like that doesn't seem possible.
But some of the records that they are breaking is like it's Diana Taurasi's record, or it's not like it's it's still women who have had these incredible careers.
Yeah, but I mean, Angel Reese, for example, she had 15 consecutive double doubles, and that set the all time record. That's insanely low. Like Brittany Griner never had 15 double doubles. I can't believe that. Just means 10 rebounds and 10 points. That's strikes me as a strangely low number.
Yeah, I guess I wonder how many on the men's side. Like
Had 15 in a row double
15 in a
doubles.
row?
Will Chamberlain probably won 4 seasons of double doubles.
Chamberlain. I mean, this is different.
But even
Plumbers
like-
and firemen, guys.
But like random guys had like double streak. Like it's a weird thing. Like you could like he's saying, like that's a thing you can just kind of almost accidentally get. And she got in the first 3 months of being in the league. Like they're journeyman rebounders, probably had 40, 50 games in a row with double doubles.
So Will just barely edged Angel Reese. Angel had 15. Will had 227.
Perloff.
Let's see. And okay. But I think DeMontis Sabonis just reset the record. I have to get the number here. I assume it's longer.
He
than
might have
50.
been like in the 50s, I think.
Yeah. It just seems like it is funny. The Caitlin Clark number is like she's setting records. It's got to be like Mike D'Antoni, just way faster. By the way, is she that much better at this point in the season than she was earlier? Do you guys see that?
I think she is.
She's missing a lot of shots.
Yeah,
Like
she's
her
still missing
shooting.
shots.
Like she's shooting. Her shooting is not getting better.
It's still more about the assists than it is about the shooting, but I do think she is getting
The team is winning a little more. I mean, I'd like to see after this break how she shoots once she gets her legs back, because 32% from 3 and 39% overall is not ideal.
Bogus shit.
Let's jump back to the men's side. The main omission there is not Jalen Brunson. It is Jaylen Brown. He thinks that he was left off the initial roster and then not picked as Kawhi Leonard's replacement because he's not a Nike athlete. Managing director Grant Hill called Brown's thoughts conspiracy theories on the Dan Patrick Show Friday, maintaining these were just roster decisions. Brown then tweeted, quote, Grant Hill calling me a conspiracy theorist is disappointing. I've been a VP since I was 21 years old. I have a great understanding. This is my favorite story about this team. Is Jaylen Brown not on it and why he thinks he's not on it?
Do you think that he's got a point, Jaylen Brown, or do you think that do you believe Grant Hill that Nike has nothing to do with this, or do you believe Jaylen Brown that Nike has everything to do with this?
Well, I mean, the history of this team suggests that it's never just basketball decisions, whether it's personal or shoe companies or what. And while I agree that you have to build a team and not just take the best 12 available players, I don't understand how there's not a place for Jaylen Brown.
I think basketball history at all levels indicates that these shoe companies have a gigantic influence.
Totally.
So I would go based on that. I would say that Jaylen Brown is more in the right.
I find it hard to believe that this is only a basketball decision because you're right. It doesn't make a lot of sense at all. Yet, if you're going to say this is a conspiracy between Nike, Grant Hill, like this is a conspiracy that a lot of people would have to be in on that I think at some point would come out.
But is it I don't know. Conspiracy seems like too strong a word. Everyone knows Nike picks all sorts of things. Like they have gigantic influence on the league. They always have.
Yeah.
Like, is it a conspiracy when Nike gets a player to go to Kentucky? That's not a conspiracy. That's just the way it is. I mean, Leon Rose is the now an NBA executive. Wasn't he? What was his old job?
CAA?
CAA.
No, the Dallas Mavericks GM was the former executive at Nike.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nico
For
Hamilton.
some reason, I thought Leon Rose and Worldwide West had some shoe ties in too, like where they used to push guys to certain colleges. Like, I think it's part of the industry. What's your answer?
I think there's more to the story here.
Yeah.
I just think if it comes out that it was Nike, I think we're going to find out about it because a lot of people, I think, would have to know that this is the reason, right?
Is it that
maybe you keep that in a small enough circle that people don't know and you could take it to the grave kind of thing, but I think people that might filter out.
EJ, you probably know better. Like, has Jaylen Brown trashed Nike or just not worn Nike stuff?
No, when the Kyrie situation happened, he was one of the most outspoken people defending Kyrie, saying, what does Nike know about ethics? I think was his exact tweet. I think he tweeted at Nike. I think he was trying to start a conversation. So he has been outspoken against Nike in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the optics of picking Derek White was weird too because he's on the same team. Not ideal. I get it. Derek White fits in very well with what they need, but I don't know. I do think there is some symbolism here. And man, I got to tell you, as a Eastern Conference team fan, the Sixers fan, I don't want to see Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum getting all mad. Jaylen Brown's going to dunk on our head.
Oh, I feel the opposite. As a Eastern Conference fan, I love this dissension that's maybe being created. Like Jaylen Brown continuing to make this a thing, knowing that three of his teammates are already there. One of them may already be unhappy because he's not playing, and him continuing to spark this. I want there to be as much dissension possible on the Celtics. So, yeah, bring on the drama.
Is this the thing that fractures the champion Celtics?
Maybe.
Well, listen, Jaylen Brown's not backing down, and he's the guy who's the reigning finals MVP. So he's got a lot of say here.
He became like the alpha of that team.
Yeah,
and angry Jaylen Brown, I would disagree with each other. I think that's going to be good for the Celtics. Like no one's been able to repeat in the NBA forever. I think they're giving Boston the bulletin board material to go do it.
I kind of want this as a poll question.
Who would have thought after one game in Olympic basketball, if there were going to be two Celtics who will be playing for Team USA, that it would not be Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? Think about that.
Better yet, there'd be one Celtic who's playing, and his name is Derek White.
Drew Holiday's playing too.
It's crazy.
Oh
my God, I forgot Drew Holiday.
They're playing two Celtics that aren't Tatum or Brown. That is mind-boggling.
Yes. And by the way, Kelly Olynyk and all these other former Celtics are going to be playing on other teams. Did Sam Hauser make the cut here?
Chase Buttinger made the Olympics, though.
There
what
you go.
country?
He's a beach volleyball star now.
Oh, right. The country, this one. Hello, Max. All right, well, flat out of time. Thank you, everyone. Coming up, we do have to get to the training camp storyline no one's talking about, but we are next.
Yeah.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I wanted to bring this up to you, Pearl, because it's summer, obviously, and I know this is something that is really close to you because you worry about it all the time. and that's shark attacks. And I saw a statistic that I thought would put your mind at ease. Your chances of getting bitten by a shark are 1 in 11.5 million.
Wow. Okay.
How about that? 1 in 11.5 million. You're not getting bit. Like you're fine. You can get back in the water. I know you think about this constantly.
Stop.
What?
Because my daughters are about to go to surf camp on Rockaway. It's been shut down 4 times in the last 2 weeks with gigantic sharks 100 yards off the coast.
Okay, they're seeing the sharks. I'm just saying the odds that they're going to be fine. With those kinds of odds, I'll knock on wood for you too. We're talking about your daughters. I'm talking about you.
Why would you do that?
You're good at because I thought you would put your mind at ease.
You know why I'm not going to get bitten by a shark? Because I'm going to stay on dry land.
Okay, that's fine, but not for your daughters. I'm talking about for you. You can get in the water.
I don't care about me anymore. First of all, I've lived a great life. It's my kids. I do not want them to get bit by sharks because they surf.
I don't want them to either. I thought this statistic would help you. If I was like, hey, it's 1 in 50, I'd be like, all right, don't go to surf camp. It's 1 in 11.5 million.
Yeah, but why are you saying it out loud? Do you know anything about how jinxing works, Maggie?
I'm sorry, it was a headline I saw USA Today, and I thought that you would appreciate that.
The show's almost over, but you're going to have to stay after a little later so I can show you the size of these sharks. This is a beach that is 20 minutes from my house, and there are Goliaths floating a football field away from the beach. You could see like the waves breaking, and there's this huge shark, and there's people there. What is going on?
Well,
things have changed. First of all, things have changed on
things have definitely changed.
There are more sharks because of conservation laws that help with the wildlife, and there's seals. So I don't even want to go here.
Okay, well, I thought I was doing the right thing. Guys, I thought I was doing a nice thing by giving him this statistic. Like it's not as like better odds to hit the lottery, but like being struck by lightning. Like it's one of those things, Pearl.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's probably more likely that, you could get hit by a bus instead of,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
By the way, terrified of somebody getting hit by a bus. Those things go way too fast.
You're right.
Only a city bus, so that, listen, we can make some money after that.
So I hope to God not.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
I really did think I was going to make you feel better. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel worse.
Well, we're getting into some New York City stuff here. There's a huge crisis of people dying in the water right now. There's been 6 drownings off the 2 local beaches because the riptides are so bad this year.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and they can't afford lifeguards. Like, this whole thing's a mess. And the beach, so they have drones to spot for sharks because there's so many sharks this summer. The seagulls are attacking the drones because it's New York. Because, of course, because it's New York. Like, you have no idea what's going on out there. I don't want to hear your numbers because all it takes is one. By the way, I am for protecting sharks. I don't like slaughtering sharks. But I don't want to hear this. So basically, you're saying, like,
you said the seagulls
Pearl,
are attacking the drones? What?
Yeah.
It's New York.
Yeah,
what are you doing here?
Get out of here.
I'm not surprised they're screwing up our way of trying to keep people safe.
That being said, you're like, well, the odds, if it's lightning and thundering outside, and we're about to walk outside, and you'd be like, well, the odds of you getting hit by lightning are 1 and whatever. You are increasing the odds because of karma.
Just because I said it?
Just because you said it. You don't say things like that out loud, Maggie.
Okay, but
it's like being a sports fan. You don't be like, oh, we're up by 14. This one's in the bag. That's a cardinal sin.
Okay, but I mean, then ipso facto, I should be able to walk into any casino and be like, I'm about to win $1,000.
No,
and
it
would be better,
and
then I'm on my way to winning $1,000.
You know it doesn't work that way. Let me paint a scenario. Say your team was up and scored the winning points with 13 seconds left in the game. Hypothetical. Random number I'm choosing out of the blue.
Yeah, thank you.
If you had said, I can't believe it, we're going, was that the divisional round? Yeah, we're going to the conference title game.
I did say that.
And what happened?
And then Tyreek Hill happened.
So you didn't learn your lesson?
I did not. I thought if I said to you, hey, this shark attack thing, the odds are 1 in 11.5 million, you might go, you know what? Maybe, okay. Phew. Those are very steep odds.
Does that include people that don't live by the coast too?
Yeah, it's so stupid.
So does that include people who live in Kansas? So they're not likely to get bit by a shark because they're not by water. I feel like it's much higher for people who are on the coastlines.
What are you, a scientist, Ryan?
No, I'm just using logic here.
I think it's like of beachgoers.
You're saying there are not a lot of great white attacks in Topeka, Kansas?
No, I get what he's saying. Yeah, I think
more twisters out there.
I think that I think the study was for beachgoers, people with access to water. Fair point. Want to make sure this study is on the up and up.
Got to double check every box.
I have to change the subject real quick.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? And EJ, real quick, Robert Downey Jr. is back in the Marvel universe, but he's not playing Iron Man. He's playing Dr. Von Doom. I think this is one of the craziest recastings ever. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to Marvel, and he's not Iron Man. This is bananas.
This is so dumb. I hate it. And I'm a huge Marvel fan. This is one of the dumbest things they've done. And I was so excited, too, that they were bringing Dr. Doom into the Marvel universe. And this is what you're going to do? Just make him a knockoff Tony Stark? Blah.
Wait, are they going to acknowledge it in some way?
Probably. He's probably going to be an alternate version of Tony Stark, which is the corniest way to introduce the greatest Marvel villain of all time.
Yeah.
Zoo, you like this?
I do. I like anything that creates a little controversy. I actually think it's a good move, too, because honestly, they're not going to use Dr. Doom later on. It feels like they're going to do some other stuff with the Fantastic Four and all that goodness. And if they want to do it in the future, they always can, because this is all just fiction. We can make whoever we want. It's comic books. Comic books have a million variants of a million different characters.
Bring it back to sports real quick. This is basically bringing back LeBron for this year's gold medal. Let Jason Tatum play. Let's have a new actor. We've seen Robert Downey Jr.
Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Ryan Botcher. Thank you to Ed Arzuman. Thank you to Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos, Coffee Drinkers. Whoa. What a show. See you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.